And we're back.
Thank you very much for joining us again, everybody. This is part 2 of Salt of the Streets, episode 153, with our special guest, Brine the Salty Dog. We're cracking beers for part 2. It's going to be a great time. We're going to talk. I'm really feeling the conversation thing. It's very flowy today.
Indeed.
So we're going to talk a little bit of like topic stuff, but we're going to keep it light. We're going to talk our discussion topics because I think that's going to work really well for us today.
Yes.
So
because we got some requested topics of conversation from viewers out there like you.
That's correct.
That's correct.
I thought I was going to have something, like more eloquent that came, but it was.
Yeah,
I was really focused on not spilling my beer, so I got
that was probably a good idea. We're not used to having guests with this latest setup, so
we haven't had guests in a while. I think the last couple
spot.
people have been like over Zoom.
Yeah,
so it's been we've been talking about this new studio for a long time, and my progress on it has just been delayed. So,
family.
Yeah,
2 kids.
It is what it is, but
I've got hands. You ever need someone with hands?
That's right.
I'll show it to you. Well, it was my time, honestly. I just ran out of time to. I was not applying my time in the places that I should, and now I'm more organized with it. So,
well, Brian, I'd like to give you a fucking shout out first for bringing this delicious beer.
There we go.
Fremont Legend Cold IPA.
Cheers, guys.
Fucking money. Cheers, man.
Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. Thanks for coming all the way out. Oy, I'm drinking out of my Bud Light glass.
That's nice.
Which I've decided to resurrect because I'm pretty sure Bud Light's going under at this point. I don't think there's going to be much to stop it from just nosediving off a cliff and then walking away from the brand completely. So this shit's going to be a collector's item.
I think you'll have a lot to compete with.
Oh, yeah.
Crystal Ball told me that the boycott wasn't working. What do you mean? What are the current, because someone else said, what's the guy from Shark Tank was like, this is a total disaster or something like that.
Oh, it is a total disaster.
Mark Cuban?
No. I know who Mark Cuban is.
The other guy.
The bald one.
Yeah.
He's the asshole.
Yeah. What's
call him Mr. Wonderful? Okay,
yeah.
there you go.
And he's a fuckhead. But, he's also made a lot of really bad calls over the years too, which are really interesting. But no, the trends continue to go downward. I don't know what they're currently at now, but the quartering Jeremy Handley does like either a daily or like every couple days. He like checks in with the latest Bud Light fiasco, and he gives numbers out there, and it's just, you see it mimetically lived out in everyday life now. People are just
in memes. You mean?
No, like in life. Like, it has become a meme. The fact
that's
that,
what I mean, mimetically.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to understand.
Mimetically, is that a word for memes?
In memes.
That's real life memes, right?
Okay.
Because, there's a whole the world
that's a
of
new
memeing.
word. That's a new word. Too.
Mimetic.
So yes.
We should Google it just to make sure I'm not being a fucking
asshole.
asshole.
I don't think you're wrong. I've just never heard it. That's
if it's not there, I'm adding it to Urban Dictionary.
We're doing it. Relating to mimetic. Here we go. Relating to or constituting an element of culture or system of behavior that is passed from one individual to another by imitation or other non-genetic means. And so these are just like the cultural touchstones that we all live out in everyday life. And once the Bud Light meme became actually like a lived mimetic experience, they're not selling it to bars. They're having to pull inventory. People are losing, like distributors are losing fucking contracts and jobs. And it's devastating tons of people's lives. They're about to fire another, I think, 200 some people like that over at Bud Light.
Only the true Bud Light dogs have stuck with Bud Light.
Yeah.
It's like the
ones that really just don't give a shit and just want to drink the beer.
I mean, anybody who's on the internet and like was buying Bud Light for parties, is now like,
what about the beer is keeping you there anyway? Like, if you disagree with the politics, what about the beer's keeping you?
I don't know, man. I'd rather drink a Rainier, I'd rather drink a light beer.
The only people I know that are still drinking Bud Light, these are like dogs that have been drinking
But
Bud
it's cheap
Light.
now, though.
Yeah,
it's real cheap.
And you can get it damn near for free.
It's because they've been drinking Bud Light for 15, 20 years now, and they're like, I'm not going to fucking switch up my beer because...
There's nothing interesting about it. It's boring marketing, boring beer.
Yeah,
it's not better than Rainier. It's not better than any other light beer that you could purchase. Coors Light or fucking any. They're all that rung of the shelf is all the same.
Yeah, if it's half water and made with fucking corn and rice, with a little bit of barley in there, it's all the same shit.
Yeah,
I mean I dare anybody to blind taste test the difference between a Bud Light, a Coors Light, a Miller Light, fucking Rolling Rock, Rainier.
Yeah.
I think I can tell the difference.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we should do this.
We should do that.
We should buy all these.
Well, Rolling Rock's a green bottle beer, so that already
that's
has a
true.
big flavor difference.
Put them in. Oh, you think the green bottle changes the flavor of the?
Oh,
beer?
100%.
Yeah, because
different bottles is for different light translution for beers.
the amount of light that gets, because no matter what happens, if you have a semi-clear bottle, there's going to be some form of light penetration, and the UV rays are going to do stuff to that beer inside there. That's why most beer bottles
brown
are
bottles.
like dark brown, to try to get rid of as much light as you can. Heineken, Rolling Rock.
And you notice they taste kind of similar.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Kind of a little bit more bright almost.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
Like,
more bright.
hoppier almost, like more bitter. I think the first time I had a Heineken
It
was
tastes
like
more like on a champagne thing to me.
Yes, yes. The first time I had a Heineken was early in my beer days, and I was like, no, I don't like this.
I say I don't like green bottle beers.
Yeah. I haven't revisited Heineken since then. I remember when you were
fuck with
drinking.
Heineken.
I remember when you were drinking the no alcohol Heinekens. I thought about dipping my toes back in, but I was like,
my grandpa drank O'Doul's his whole life.
Bro, O'Doul's is rough business.
Just crush a 12 of O'Doul's. I don't have to drink all that.
And it's so unsatisfying. Like, you kind of get the flavors a little bit. If you're doing O'Doul's or like Heineken Zero, those are the only two non-alcoholic like beers anyone should ever taste, because all the other ones, including
I haven't
all
really
the
tried any of them before.
There's a massive movement in like the craft brew world for like craft brewed non-alcs.
gross.
And they're all gross.
He did it.
There's other drinks you
It's
can
like
drink.
I want to keep drinking beer, but I don't want to have
guess
the
if
alcohol.
it's a
And it's like,
social-
it's just, but you're not.
Just stop drinking. Just stop.
Exactly.
All
Because
together.
it does not taste like a beer.
Yeah.
Period. It's just not going to.
He did a month of abstinence to prove it to himself, because he was hitting the bars, or he was hitting the beers heavy, and he was like, "I'm gonna take a month off," but I was giving him much because we fucking do the show. And I was like, you're gonna make me fucking say you drink beers by myself.
Yep.
So he was crushing non-alcoholic beers while I was sitting here.
That's
drinking
beauty.
regular
Hey,
beer.
good on you.
Yeah. So anytime we went to the bar, I would give him shit, so he would still drink a non-alcoholic beer, and then I would just drink regular beer.
Good on you, though. I guess. Was it
was terrible.
mentally? Did it help you that you were drinking a non-alcoholic beer as opposed to like a Coke or something?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's because it's not. I don't like to drink a bunch of soda and stuff anymore. Like a
But
lot
it's
of
the norm?
sweet drinks, kind of hit
Okay.
me, and so it's not a night. Like, I'd fuck with iced tea a lot, and unsweetened iced tea, I like that. But I just needed something else that I can get when I'm out there, and the carbonation. It's once I found like the Heineken Zeros, it's like, okay, it kind of tastes like a Heineken. It's pretty close. It doesn't taste like all the weird other shit. It's pretty solid, and it kind of scratches that itch a little bit. If you just want like a beer for the taste of the beer, that works. But I don't know, because I'll enjoy a beer, I don't know, various times. I'm not just gonna drink to drink and get fucked up or something like that. If I'm having lunch, I want to have a beer with it, just because it just goes good with that. I just really like beer, so.
Give you a little warm face when you leave, and that's about it.
I mean, we got to go back to work in a couple hours. Let's slam a couple double IPAs down, and then we'll get back and hit AutoCAD real hard.
Nice.
that kind of shit. That was good.
Plus, I would forget if he was drinking a non-alcoholic beer. I would forget, and then I wouldn't bring it up again.
Oh, true,
Because he was drinking a beer.
So it fits in, and
I would
if
forget.
you handed me a non-alcoholic beer in a glass and I had no idea, do you think you can get it by me that I was drinking a non-alcoholic beer?
No,
Really?
no, you'd know.
Okay.
You'd know.
Interesting.
It'd be like, there's something different about this.
So can I ask you, do you remember on Flagrant when they had Bert Kreischer on and they were giving him non-alcoholic beer? How do you think he didn't know?
Because he was already drunk already.
Oh.
It's Bert.
So he was just already drunk.
He goes, okay, I'm drinking. I don't think he drinks because he likes beer.
Right.
He just
probably
drinks
doesn't-
because he's Bert Kreischer.
And he probably doesn't drink that much beer.
I would
He
highly
probably
doubt
drinks
it.
like mostly liquor.
It's
You're an
a lot of
alcoholic and you
cocktail.
drink beer. Yeah,
Right.
You
Yeah.
put a lot of weight on. Ask me
you
how
go
I
up.
know.
When Jordan's dad, I don't want to disparage him. He loves his alcohol. And when he
It's a
was
fun thing.
When he was in the Navy, he would drink Steel Reserves. That's what he was drinking all the time. Was 211s. He was just crushing.
That's a hardo
Hard
right there.
Oh, dude, he is a dog. He has
Hot dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. I've drank with Kevin a few times, and I always feel it the next day.
You got to tap out.
And he'll call you at 8 a.m. and he's like, "What are you doing? Let's go do this." And you're like, "Get
Fuck
the
you.
fuck out of here!" You're like, "Get the fuck out of here, dude."
See, this is why the key is just to find a low level of like drunk or buzzed, and then just ride that.
Jordan, the 211s.
The 211s. But yeah, then you never have to worry about getting hungover because you're always just slightly above average there.
Yeah.
But then you can't stop because the literal, like the cumulative hangover will literally kill you if you do that. That'd be rough business.
Is that an Archer reference?
It is. Thank you very much.
Love it.
Yes.
I think 3 beers
knew I
is
liked this
like
guy.
a good. That's a good level for me, to
3 beers?
operate among. Yeah, top rate among in the public.
Yeah, it
3
depends on
beers, good
my
walk out, go do something, come back, have another beer in a little while.
Yeah, because there's a couple levels of it, right?
Functional
Like
level.
when you,
Yeah.
God, we're a bunch of alcoholics. I love this. So
I could do at 3 beers. I could do anything I needed
Exactly.
to do. Anything. If I needed to drive right now, I could do that and be fine. Like,
yep.
I'm sure there's
technically.
someone who would say you shouldn't do that, but I.
Yeah, which
you know, what I'm-
3, unless they're 15%ers.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
3 beers and going to drive, like
Right.
you're more attentive than 98% of people on the
Yes.
road if they're not
Yeah.
on their
Yeah.
phone or
You
whatever.
got that
feel-
little thing in the back of your head going, okay, extra pay attention
Yeah,
today.
I would feel
Yeah.
comfortable defending myself at that point. I would feel anything that I needed to do at 3 beers, I would be totally fine.
And
Yeah.
I think if you did get pulled over, and besides the cop smelling it,
Yeah.
like you're probably not gonna blow over 8.
Yeah.
You're gonna pass. Like you're gonna talk fine and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like you shouldn't. I don't know about your body. I'm not slurring words at 3 beers.
No,
by any means.
fuck no. I
God,
regularly.
no. If I did, I wouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
I allegedly crush 5 beers here almost every time I'm here. So
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Well, that's why I bought each of us a 6er. Now you're driving, so
Yeah. Well, and I don't. I mean, I don't do it on the way here, but it definitely every time from the range, I've got my fucking.
I never heard anything.
Yeah.
Range beers.
Road sodas?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like sodas on the road. They're nice.
Someone in the chat gave me some cookies once, and I probably should have put the gun down for a while there. But
The last time I left,
You don't find out until you're like, uh-oh.
I told
when they hit, they
Colin
did.
It's a hypothetical story.
Hypothetical, indeed.
Yeah, that I was a story.
Emotional.
Yeah, I was hanging out with my brother-in-law, and I'm pretty sure it was my father-in-law's birthday, and we were out getting just all kinds of fucked up, And then after we were out for a couple hours, I was taking a piss, and I was so shit-housed, and I was carrying, and I was like, I don't know that I would even be effective right now if I had to discharge my farm. I don't even know because I'm of the mind of physical infrastructure, unless it's there, I'm gonna carry all the time. But that time I was like, I don't even know if I would be effective. I might be more of a detriment to the situation if I try to do anything.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, I'm just gonna chill. If anything happens, I'm just
Well, and your
not gonna
decision
involve
making
myself.
gets worse too. Like the gun may come out when it doesn't need to be out.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
clearly that happens way
Yeah.
more often than it should.
But just
Yes.
standing there in the state I was like, I don't even know if I would be accurate. That's
Is that the next range day? We go to an actual. we rent out a private range, and we do like the MythBusters for science type deal. Where,
How many can you still be effective at? Because I think it's at 3, I was just good. I'm not going to be swaying at 3 or anything that's going to, affect my motor skills.
No, because the biggest thing, when you're talking 3 beers, right? Time is a
conversation.
Time is a factor.
Yeah.
So if you slam in three,
If you
3
power
glasses,
hour it.
if you slam 3 glasses of fucking Monk's Indiscretion, which is like an 11% beer or some shit, it's like 10.8 or whatever. You slam 3 of those in an hour, it's going to be an interesting time. You're not going to be. You might have drank them so fast you don't even feel it yet, and then you're going to get fucked up later. But if you're going to smash 3 beers and regular beers in 2 hours or something like that, an hour and a half even, then you're just dealing with a volume of beer that you just did, and it might make you real sluggish and shit. Just but if you're out on the golf course or something like that, it's nice out. Or you're fucking camping or doing whatever. I mean.
oh yeah.
It all just changes how that's going to affect you by whatever it is you're doing. But
If you're active and stuff too, the alcohol's going to work through your blood quicker because your heart's pumping.
Yeah, but I mean, you crush 3 Coors Lights. You're not going to feel the same as if you crush 3 microbrewed 5% beers. It's going to be heavier, and you're going to be like,
I wonder how
day
fucked
drinking
up.
gets rough that way.
I wonder how fucked up you would be if you did the power hour with Mugs and Discretion.
I don't think you could. Wow, that would be a bad.
Because I think it worked out to, it was like
That'd be a bad idea.
4.5 or 5 beers or something, right? Like it wasn't that
Yeah, it
many
wasn't that
beers.
many. But it's in an hour.
That's
So you're
that's a lot in an hour.
It does.
Yeah.
That concentrates. Like
so it's
at
a
the
minute.
end,
So 60 iterations of
60
drinking.
Yeah,
Yes.
60 shots.
Wow.
And because it's 1 a minute. And
which
and
is so fucking fast.
you're fucked up. Like I
Yeah.
was definitely fucked up.
That's
at the end.
that's really fast.
First 10 minutes, you're like, this is going to be cake.
Yeah.
And then it just goes downhill quick.
Yeah.
So what you were saying just yesterday when I climbed Mount Eleanor, I had 3 beers up top. I was really waiting for the western side of the mountain to clear. I got some beautiful views looking.
Nice.
picks,
Nice.
Yeah, you saw them. They were very nice. But I waited around, drank my 3 beers in probably like an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah.
And they were ballards, whatever, big ballards, that blue box.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever percentage those were. And I hiked down and I was sweating it out. Did not feel anything at all.
Right.
You know, with my heart rate going so high, I didn't feel a single thing. I was
God,
probably
that shit's-
sweating a bit more, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit.
But
It's just pumping in, pumping out.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. It's a good time, man. But yeah,
nice.
it takes 3 beers doesn't do fucking shit to me anymore. It's just, it's like that's just like a hang, bro. I don't even know what we're doing right now. But again, if I'm slamming something, game over.
and if you ate,
Yeah.
how hydrated you are before that,
Yeah.
Like, and
how hot it is.
I've been known to go to, because I hang out at a brewery a lot. I've been known to hang out for like, I don't know, 5-6 hours, just depending, like, because I know a bunch of people there, so we all just have a good time. We're hanging and stuff like that. And after a while, you slow down your drinking immensely, just because, if I'm on my 4th beer, you're peeing every fucking 30 minutes at that point,
Yes.
but you're just full of liquid.
Yeah.
And it's like you gotta slow down, and just otherwise, at one point you'll be like, "Nah, I'm just done drinking. I got too much liquid in my fucking stomach right now. It's just not gonna happen."
Yeah.
And so you can get yourself in trouble that way. It's like kegger parties and shit in high school.
Yeah.
You're just pounding beers, and you're not getting super fucked up. You are, because you're like a kid and you're not
Right.
used to that
But
shit.
it's all the light
But
beer.
everybody's going out there projectile vomiting fucking gallons of beer because you're just drinking too much.
Right.
This is the fucking the gallon milk challenge or whatever.
Yes.
Can't do
yeah.
that. There's only so much you can have in your stomach, and then it's coming right the fuck out.
You ever heard of that?
No.
So people,
Oh, yeah.
it was like in our youth, but people would slam a gallon of milk. I think it was in like 5 minutes or something. It was like a short amount of
That's
time.
disgusting.
You throw up every time.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can't
100%.
physically consume that.
That amount of
volume.
acid and stuff in you
It's
too.
just
is not
too
good.
much in that period of time,
Yeah, you top off the tanks, and eventually they overflow.
and everybody throws up. Yeah,
Everybody.
I'm sure there's 1 or 2 people who are like, "I fucking didn't puke," but
I don't want to be proud of that. I would never even attempt it.
No.
No.
And that's how I felt after the power hour, because I was fucked up. Like, and you get, like you were talking about, because of the time, because you do it so quickly, you get progressively more fucked up over the next like hour and a half. You just keep getting more drunk, even though you stop drinking.
Yeah,
And
so you feel like shit because you just slammed all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna like the drunkenness really kicks in, and then you really feel like shit.
I got so full. That was so full, and I knew I was like, I got to eat something. Like, I really need to eat something. Jordan went to get Arby's. It's like, am I going to throw up before I eat Arby's?
Yes.
Or after I eat Arby's?
Definitely
and then
before.
I was like, before. So I just went and made myself throw up.
That's beauty.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm good.
That's when if I feel
yeah.
like I'm going to throw up, that's my limit. That's why I drink beer, because if I drink liquor, I can get too much of it in me to where I will start making very poor decisions.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
There's nothing that'll stop me from getting into a car. And I've never done that before. But, I can't trust myself not to make horrendous decisions.
Yeah.
I'm a
When
big
you black out,
advocate.
you black out. And there's
Yeah.
you literally lost all
Dude,
control.
I drink like 6 beers now playing video games at home, and I can't remember when I decided to go to bed. Maybe I was just so tired because it's 1 a.m. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a lot of different things going on at
Yeah.
that point.
I'm a big advocate for making yourself throw up too. If I've drank a certain amount before I go to bed, even if I'm not feeling queasy, I'm just gonna go make myself throw up, and I'll
I'll be fine in the morning.
Yeah, I'll feel
Otherwise, all
better
that
in the
shit's
morning.
gonna poison me
yeah.
throughout
If
the
I'm at
night.
a party, if I start to feel it, I'm just gonna throw up. I'll just knock this out.
Oh, yeah.
Pound a bunch of water afterwards. Huge proponent of
Good
that.
for you, man.
Get out of the
I don't
way.
think I could do that.
I used to fight it a lot, but now I'm like, no, you start to feel, you're like, well, I know what's coming now.
Yeah.
This is going to be a really shitty couple hours, or I'm going to go solve this in 10 minutes.
I can count on like a hand how many times I've thrown up from drinking beer.
Oh, I don't like to. And I don't like to be limited in choices. So, like, sometimes if you start to feel like you're going to throw up, you start to get the spins. You sit down, you're like, I don't feel good sitting down. I got to stand up, you know? And I don't like that type of shit. Like, I just want to do whatever I want to be able to do, especially if I'm fucked up. So
I don't want to be held back by how I feel.
yeah, I'm just going to throw up.
You want to keep the party boot and rally.
Even if I don't, because usually I won't. Like, usually if I make myself throw up, I'm going to switch to water after that. But I just don't want to feel that way, and I don't want to... I still want to have a good time, even if I'm not going to keep getting fucked up.
Yeah.
You know?
You get to a certain level, and
Yeah.
then fucking just enjoy the time.
But I feel like I start to get on a downturn if I start to feel that way, you know? Because I'm like, now I need to drink water, I need to do this, and I'm just going to not throw up, knock it out, keep having a good time. Yeah.
The old puke and rally, bro.
Yeah.
I knew a couple people.
But I don't always, it's not always a rally, you know? Because, like, I
No.
know, you know,
Then you're done for the
sometimes-
night.
Yeah, sometimes, but does it for the come down. Yeah, it's just to get it done.
It's a very practical decision. You know?
Especially, and I think she's talking because it's more common after I get home. You know, I'll most of the time, if I've been out partying, I'm just gonna make myself throw up.
Oh, I'm so
Damn.
dumb. I just realized I wasn't reading it. That's your.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah. No,
The
that's
Casma.
I'm super renowned for that at the house. Of I'll be home maybe for 20 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just go to the bathroom. Yeah, 100%.
Jesus.
Put some music on,
Yeah.
or something, and put my phone up and let that play. Chill. I'm just aggressive vomiter, so it's super loud.
Dude,
It's horrible.
I can feel for like 3 days after I
Yeah,
vomit.
the
Like,
whole
it
thing
hurts,
is terrible.
dude.
I hate it so
Yeah,
much.
it's
The whole
the
thing is
worst.
terrible.
So I've gotten really good at not getting to that point.
Yeah.
But anyways, enough about drinking.
You spoke milk a little. Is drinking milk with thinner classy or not classy?
Oh, it's super trashy.
Yeah.
Oh
But
shit! Then I'm a little trashy.
I
then.
did that all the time.
when I was a kid. Yeah, I do that.
Oh yeah, because I fucking love milk too.
Yeah.
I can't drink
today.
a glass of milk now. I'll shit myself for 3 days straight.
Oh, bro. That happened to a lot of my friends growing up, or even people like some of my best friends from the Coast Guard. Never were lactose intolerant their whole lives, and then one day it just kind of kicked in, and then all of a sudden it's
exactly.
like can't have ice cream, can't have all
Dude, I
that,
can't
and
eat
it
pizza.
fucks
I'm a
with
New
you.
Yorker who can't eat pizza. It's horrendous.
You know,
When
like
I save pizza for when I go home.
It's a good thing you've been exiled from your homeland.
Oh shit! I can't go back.
Not anymore.
my uncle,
Not after that admission.
my uncle Del Brico, who
Which is still like the coolest name in the world, by the way.
he's married into.
Can you say it again?
Del Brico.
Del Brico.
Yeah, he's from Alabama. He's a dog. He's a big old boy. And he's lactose intolerant. He was telling me last time I saw him that like all black people are lactose intolerant. This is not me saying this. This is Del Brico who said this. Yeah,
I think that's factual.
yeah, obviously not to the T. Like but like a huge amount of black people
All
are
Asians-
lactose intolerant.
All Arabs, I don't think can,
Yeah,
because they just don't drink it. They
Just
don't have the
doesn't fuck with them.
accessibility to cows that we do.
especially in America because our dairy they fuck with it so much. You know,
Yeah,
that I
it's
think
like hardly even real dairy by
Yeah.
the time we get it.
I think if they drink
Just lactic
raw,
acid in a cup.
if they drink raw milk, it might
tasty.
be different. Like they might have an easier time with it. But yeah,
Which, if you've never had raw milk before and you think you like milk, you should probably go figure that out
is
because
mad different.
it's super different.
Better, worse? What do you think?
I like it better, but it's not as doesn't have as much utility as like our milk. Like I wouldn't really cook with it.
Yeah.
I would really just drink it. You don't want to put that shit over some fucking Cheerios.
I don't keep milk on hand.
You know?
Why don't you want to put it on cereal?
It's thicker
Yep,
because it's full fat, right?
even thicker
It's-
than like whole milk.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's no matter what
'Cause it's
happens during the
non-pasteurized, right?
during the pasteurization process, when they heat it up, you lose a lot of stuff, right?
Okay.
When it just comes out of the fucking udder and you
Yeah.
put it in a jar, after a while, like the solids will float up to the top,
Right.
but there's still so much fat in there, and it's really, really sweet.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's super weird. And especially when you have it fucking like, because we had a dairy cow for a while, and you go out there and you milk her, and it takes fucking forever, and you do the thing, and then you get a decent amount of milk, and you get it when it's like fresh out of the udder.
Like warm kind
It's
of.
hot. It's
Hot because
bro.
it's body temperature.
It's body temperature, bud.
Are cows hotter than human beings?
I don't know. This is
Like a dog's body temperature
Yeah.
is higher than a human's. You know.
yeah. Let's find
What's a
out.
dog? Dog's like 102, right?
Something like
Something
that.
like
Yeah.
that, yeah. 101.
101. So it is.
It's coming out
It'll
hot,
feel
bro.
hot compared to
That's fucking weird, bro.
Now drink that. That's even weirder. But it's really good. It's just very different, and it's got tons of like good enzymes and shit for
Yeah,
your gut
super
and all
good
that
for you.
stuff. It's almost not even Like that's a true dairy product. Like
Right.
Mongolians, for example, drink a lot of like goat's milk and shit.
Yeah,
You
a
know?
lot of other places drink goat's milk. They don't
milk,
have
yeah.
the cow infrastructure. we
No.
do.
That's coming back. The goat's milk thing is really coming back as people,
Mm-hmm.
more and more people are like homesteading with chickens and goats
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
easy to have
And
on a
they're-
small
yep.
property, and goat's milk is making a huge comeback.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, dude, there's goats. Probably more goats than horses around here.
Yeah.
Which is saying something because there's
Yeah.
a fuck ton of horses.
I mean, it's surprising the goats are fucking everywhere. You know? 'Cause
Everywhere.
you don't need that much land, either like legally or to be comfortable to
Yeah,
have goats.
true.
They don't
No.
take up that much space. You
In
know,
fucking
and
Bainbridge
they're
Island.
relatively chill. Like if you raise them with your kids,
That's what
they're-
Reason drank. That's why she's so healthy.
She had goat's milk formula, yeah, when before she switched to regular milk.
That'll
so-
do it. And you can make fucking goat's cheese, which is so good.
Yeah,
If you
goat's
like
cheese is
feta,
fire.
it's
Ooh,
like that,
really?
but just creamier.
Yeah,
It's not quite as salty, but it's still got a nice fucking.
Creamier.
when
hits
we
you right in
were
the face.
when we went to Michigan, we went to a speakeasy bar called TJ's, and we had a goat cheese burrata entree thing that was just like goat cheese with like some dude. I was getting fucked up. I was eating goat cheese burrata. I was like, "This is it. I'm in a fucking speakeasy." It was like I'm ready to kill somebody in a fucking
Yeah,
an
let's
old
go.
school shootout. Yeah, dude, it was
Get
amazing.
the Tommy gun.
It was amazing.
That's fucking wild. Oh, conversation changer.
Yep.
I didn't talk about. I'm wearing my fucking sheath underwear today.
Okay.
I just got these for my birthday. Do
You
you
know
know
what
what
sheath
sheath
underwear
underwear is?
Is it like a kind of like a Letterkenny kind of thing?
No.
Ooh, shout out Letterkenny.
It's a huge podcast sponsor. Not
they're-
us, but like many podcasts. So they have this double pouch. There's one for your dick and one for
Okay,
your
let's
balls.
see this. I don't know if I want my dick in a special spot.
We've talked about it a ton of times,
Where's,
and
like,
then
the
he
there it
got
is.
some for his
What the
birthday.
So
that looks more like a thing you buy from Lovers.
So it was designed. It was designed by a guy who served in the desert.
Yep.
Who served in GWAT.
Oh,
And
he didn't want the chafing,
He
huh?
was
Yeah.
like, I'd be chafing.
Smart
so
man.
He
Yep.
was like, I'm gonna make a double pouch. This one holds my balls. That one holds my dick, and everything is separate from itself.
Yeah.
I went the opposite route while I was down that
Just
way.
no underwear.
No underwear
I've
at
heard
all.
that
Yeah.
like a ton. That's
And aviation pants. We wear flight suits, but they're not one piece anymore. Same material, whatever.
oh yeah.
Their groins cut out very often, and I'm always.
Oh.
I was shooting my 240 once, hot brass, right into the hole,
Oh.
right on the nuts. Probably still have the scar.
and such
Yeah,
a
buddy,
huge
I know.
casing too. It's like a little 9mm.
No,
Oh,
dude.
308, yeah, buddy.
God.
But yeah, I'm telling you right
I
now.
don't know. That's a big hole for me.
I've
I'd slip right out of that thing.
So what's the verdict?
The verdict is there will be more, and I will be slowly replacing my entire line of undergarments with the dual pouch system.
You
sheath
use
underwear.
both pouches?
Are you in
Yeah.
the hole right now?
Yeah, I'm in the hole right now.
Because I've heard people
and my
wear
boys
these.
are being in the bag right now.
Because I've heard people wear these and don't use both holes, like they just use the pouch
Yeah, that's
and not the.
I've done both to see it because I've heard that from lots of like the people that selling on podcasts and shit. And everybody's got their own flavor of what they like, but I'm a big fan of full separation. And I'm telling you, there's nothing like. It's really hard to explain because it feels like something you don't want to be into, right?
Right.
It's like this is fucking weird, and I was like,
But it's not uncomfortable because there's like a seam tape around this.
yeah,
so
it's
you
not.
don't feel the seam.
It's super soft and comfy. They have this. I don't know. They talk about their fabric or whatever, and it's nice fucking fabric. It's kind of stretchy and shit, but super soft. And,
Same MeUndies type of shit. The modal, or
yeah,
whatever.
something
the
like
fuck.
that. Yeah, micro modal fabric. But this is it, bro. Think about walking around all day with somebody just gently like keeping up the boys. You know, there's no knocking around. You don't ever have to adjust. That you don't realize how much you do that throughout the day
Oh, 100%.
until you don't do it.
Well, and so I'm thinking about this because I know like every time I go to the bathroom and I'll readjust my underwear and I'll pull the legs
Pull the
in.
leg, yeah.
I'll pull them down and then in so that I can get some separation between the sack and leg, and then I'll kind of pick up the bird, you know what I'm saying, and put some
bird.
underneath that to like separate the two also. So I'm
You're doing the work of it.
effectively creating a sheath underwear, but it doesn't last for very long
No.
because it's just all fucking MeUndies.
This
you
is
know?
all day sport, baby.
I have
Fucking
some
here for it.
biological things that might fight against that.
You think so?
Yeah, when you're really chubby, sometimes he goes and he'll set his head back a little bit further.
Yeah.
Not like in, but
right,
like
right.
I don't know how effective that could be while I'm like sitting down and
Right.
stuff. You
That's
know?
really interesting.
I mean, it can happen.
Maybe I'll test them out. I'll have to grab myself a.
Yeah.
I highly
And
recommend it.
that's one of the funniest things I've ever. The word gentle isolation is just those two words put together.
Eliminates friction through gentle isolation of the package. Yeah, sheath underwear
It's a
commercials
bamboo
are
blend.
almost as good commercials as like
$44.
you got to use promo codes, bro.
Come on.
You got to get the promo codes.
They come in
Dude.
huge sizes, 48 to 50, dude. That's
Oh yeah, jeez.
they're out of like my size though.
Get the underwear with the ball hammock. It works. Kevin says it
Yep.
works. And Kevin
knows.
So Kevin is
He
one
knows.
of our listeners. He has been for a long time. And Kevin is on a huge weight loss journey. He's lost like over 100 pounds. Kevin, tell me
Good for
exactly
you,
what your
dude.
numbers are because he's still
killing it.
Yeah, he's still up there. I'm saying he's still working, but I mean he's still a big guy. And if he's saying
Yeah.
double pouch works,
Oh, dude,
That bodes well for you.
I'm with this dude too. I'm
Yeah.
down 75 in like the last 12 months.
yeah,
so.
Kevin's a
Nice.
fucking
keep it going,
he's
brother.
lost 290
Holy
pounds.
shit, good for you,
Kevin's
dude.
a fucking dog, dude.
Good for you.
Jeez,
Yeah.
bud.
I
That's
bet your
fucking-
body loves you for that.
Dude.
Oh fuck yeah.
He needs
219 lost.
hip replacements. Kevin needs hip replacements, so he has to lose weight to get hip replacements.
Oh, good for him.
Kevin's a fucking dog, dude. Yep. Shout out to Kevin.
That's fucking awesome, man.
He's a huge bro show. He sends me shit almost every day on
Yeah.
Instagram, almost every day, sending videos, all kinds of stuff. Great, huge listener.
Fucking badass.
Yeah, big.
Did you
fan
get the
of
video
Kevin.
I sent you with the?
Yes. And I saw that, not the same one but I saw that original video of the.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yes. Why? What were they upset about? That dude was yelling about the same. type
Same
of thing?
shit. The same thing. And I was reading somewhere in the comments that was actually prior to the lady, the airplane lady.
So a video that he sent me of a guy who's upset on a plane, and you can't really hear what he's saying. You can kind of hear it, but it's a woman who's like recording it. She's like, "Look at what fucking happened on the plane," but he's saying the same type of shit that the other woman did about like this person's not real, and other people get step in and handle this dude because I mean, he's a guy, he's bigger, he's
Yeah.
acting a little more hyphy than the woman is. She's just trying to exit the plane, and he kind of seems like he is too, but he's just a little more exaggerated.
Was he the dude that was like up in the middle of the air and was like trying to open the fucking door to get
Yes.
out? Oh, okay, yeah, I saw that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
I just fall back to, bro, don't be taking a bunch of edibles if you're not used to that shit before you get on a plane
think
to
it's
cure
that,
your
huh?
anxiety. It's got to be something like that. I don't know, because it seems to be happening more and more.
2 seems weird. If it was 1,
Well, that's
don't
2
know.
that got recorded.
Yeah.
Which
With
I
very
don't know, though.
similar
Yeah.
ideas of where they don't believe somebody's a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, what happens when you eat a bunch of edibles, man? You get super. If you're not used to it, you can get super fucking paranoid. Start
Yeah, that's
getting
very
weird
true.
shit. You know, if you got some underlying schizophrenia hidden back there a little bit,
So
it
it
can
hits you
kind of
different,
peak up.
even if you like. We talked about that last time. That like I have to take a lot of edibles. Some people
Yeah.
even who smoke a ton, if you eat just a little bit, it still
Yeah.
fucks you up crazy.
Yeah.
It's just a whole different
Yeah, or
different
like
chemical. So it's
or
a different deal.
even if it's not edibles, it's fucking Ambien or it's something. It's some
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
psychotropic
Couple maybe
experience
mix
that's
of
going
those
on.
things.
Yeah, and then you're gonna throw back a couple whiskeys on there too to help tide things over. And next thing you know, you're fucking getting canceled because you're tweeting
Fucking
racist shit
La
on
La
the airplane
Land
or
over
something
here.
like that. Or what was the gal? She was like flying to South Africa or something like that, and she tweeted something right before she left that was kind of fucked up.
She's like, I hope I don't get AIDS or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it was
then
just
by
like
the time she
it was just like a
landed-
bad joke.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But then she landed and she was totally canceled. And
she
however
canceled,
long
fired
it
from her
took.
job, all
Yeah.
the things.
Bad.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I fucking didn't mean to. But yeah. Because I think she did.
Was she like going there for like a sexual?
She was like a journalist or something,
Yeah,
right?
I think
yeah,
so. Yeah.
Oh.
She was going there for a totally unrelated and unassuming thing. Had nothing to do with
What a
AIDS.
dumb
Yeah,
comment.
just a fucking dumbass thing to say.
stupid.
That's why I got off social media. Some of the comments I've left
right.
some places are,
Questionable.
easily cancelable.
Yeah, we've had many moments on this show of like, I'm not gonna, and we're like, nah, fuck it,
Fuck it.
Yeah, so we threw it to the wind a long time ago. We're just
Yeah.
all in on,
Yeah.
We've said so much shit in the amount of time that we've recorded on this show that if you want to go back and find one single fucking solitary thing that I said that was off color,
Fine.
go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, I don't care.
Yeah, we're doing this too long to.
Yep.
It's like this. That's what, especially when, 2/3 or 3/4 of your show is like you're starting to throw back beers, and we used to take a shot right before to open the show.
Oh yeah,
That got a little too much.
We've had a couple episodes where we were just a little,
because this was the last one, the Screwball peanut butter whiskey.
Yeah,
Oh, I remember when
And
that
it was
big.
like we got that far down into it, and then we just kind of tapered off at that point. It didn't.
Yeah.
We just went with the beers. We were like, I'm gonna drink coffee in the first part now. I'm gonna have, we're gonna throw back an energy drink or something. We'll just stick with that. Alpha Brain's kicking in. I can feel it.
works better
I
this
feel
way.
good. Feel good about life. You take some of that Alpha Brain before?
I took it at the range with him the other
Yeah,
day.
I never asked you how you felt about it.
Honestly,
What
I
did you
didn't feel a difference at all. I
Yeah.
had no
Yeah.
idea. But I also wasn't doing anything that was requiring me to use my brain. So
Yeah, I always notice like I just have like slightly more energy, but because I don't drink energy drinks anymore, and I've cut way back on my coffee intake too. So like, I imagine like, if I threw back like an old school fucking, R.I.P. sour apple bang,
I gotta wean off those things.
it took a minute, but
The headaches I get without caffeine are unreal.
It's not.
Yep, and you got to go through them because that's the only way to get out. I mean, you could taper, but at the end of the day, at one point you're gonna cut it out, and then you're still gonna be like waking up with a headache. And you're like, fuck.
It's like quitting smoking. Yeah, you just have to not do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oof. You ever smoked before? I mean, like smoke cigarettes?
I
and
was
stuff?
I call myself like a deployment smoker, where I like it was just an excuse to walk outside, or like when you're done with a mission. I was never like a pack of, when I get drunk once in a while, and now I smoke like 2 cigarettes a year.
Yeah.
Stogie every now and then, but no.
I might go through like probably the equivalent of 2 packs a year maybe. And it's because like it's just kind of something like me and my brother always do with all of our duck hunting buddies. And when you're gonna wake up and be out in the middle of a fucking flooded cornfield at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's 25 degrees out, you're you're smoking burners
like
all
long
day.
army
Smoking
shifts.
jags.
Like
Yeah.
I gotta do something to
Break the darts out, boys.
Yeah.
Let's go.
yeah.
And then I get my Newports, man. Oof.
Newports, huh?
Yeah, I'm a Newport guy. Ever since fucking New York, I became a Newport guy.
Oh, dude, did you wear Tim's too? Where are your Tim's at? a fitted Yankee on a little.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
God.
what's the North Face jacket, dude? There's so many clones out there. Everybody's the same
And
person.
they all look. Yeah, that's one.
the
thing. Way-oh.
got the watch. The pinstripe chin strap.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Thankfully, I never went down that road.
My
I
cousin-
knew where I was at. I wasn't doing none of that. I
Yeah.
could barely grow a beard back then.
Not a
too.
lot of you look kind of scanned, right? Scandinavian a bit.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah,
Not
it's
a
all-
lot of
it's mostly
Scandinavians
Viking
out,
blood
out
in
there.
there.
Yeah.
No, not
Yeah.
too many. It's
Italians
a
and
lot of-
Irish.
Yeah.
I have some scanned blood in me.
Yeah.
fucking
I can see
my
a little
size.
bit. I can see a little bit in there.
But
Yeah,
Yeah,
not a lot of those out there.
a lot of the guineas we call them. Oh,
Yeah.
Is that a bad term?
No.
The wops.
Word.
Call them wops. I don't give a shit.
My biological last name was Gargiulo, and my middle name was, or my middle name.
Gargiulo.
My middle name is
Italian
Anthony,
as
so
shit.
Tony Gargiulo. Yeah.
Tony,
There you go.
hey,
Yeah.
how we doing out there? Yeah, it's Long Island's a lot of Italians, Irish, and Jewish, especially
Yeah.
the close. Like you get up to the Gold Coast area, that like
Forest
north-
Hills,
yeah,
over there, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Certain neighborhoods in Brooklyn, all Hasidic Jews.
oh yeah.
Hasidic.
Yeah. Forest Hills is massive, which is
Yeah.
I used to love that about Forest Hills, man. It was like a really nice,
Very
neighborhood.
respectable community, dude.
And,
Nothing
like,
wrong with them.
I learned to love like Jewish food and their shops and the whole thing. I love the Jews
Oh,
after
good
living
dense
around
Jewish
those.
bagel.
Nobody fucks with it like that.
Dude, you made
they're
some bagels
so
that were
good.
pretty fire not too long ago.
I made some bagels.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I will make because every now and again, like
They were
I
fucking
need
good.
I need a bagel,
Dude.
And not you can't the bagels they sell at the grocery stores.
Oh.
That's just round bread.
Yeah,
That's not a
it's
real fucking bagel.
100% how I explain it. Yeah.
yeah. It's gross, man. And so every now and again, I gotta fucking make up the dough, get the water boiling, and fucking make up some bagels. They don't always turn out because they're hit or miss every
It's
now
an
and
art,
again.
bro.
Yeah.
It's an art.
And if you don't do it all the time, you can get a little rusty.
Yeah, that's me.
sometimes,
It's like pizza dough. Once I was getting real good at it, and then I kind of,
Yeah.
you leave it in the fridge for 72 hours or whatever. But who's got that kind of time?
Yeah. Hey, and I don't know if I've talked about this little trick for pizza on the podcast before, but if you want to like
He was a cook in the
imitate,
Coast Guard.
yeah,
Oh,
cook, rescue swimmer, navigator, all the things. But
Hoorah.
my MOS was cook,
okay.
but Coast Guard, everybody does.
Yeah,
30 fucking
exactly.
jobs.
That's what my dad was a radio operator, but I think his MOS was a cook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's how that usually goes.
So weird.
Yeah. Well, There's a lot of jobs to do on a ship, and not a lot of people do.
Everyone's a firefighter.
Yep. But yeah, I really wanted to like get into like some wood fire shit because that's the best type of pizza around, right? You get the little char on the crust and all that stuff, but you don't. Who has like a wood fired fucking oven around? You don't have that. Fucking Tim at work, you know, he had that year there where you get super into like the little uni wood fire pizzas. Those are great.
But you can't metal kind of thing? Yeah.
They're super cool.
Jordan's dad has one of those. They're pretty good, but yeah, it's not.
Tim gave me his to like borrow for a while and like break it in and see how it went, and then I built that dope ass fucking rolly stand with it and all that stuff. Makes amazing stuff, right? It's just a lot going on. So the easiest way to do it is to make your dough, preferably nice and fucking thin, and then charcoal grill in the back. Just fire that thing up, get the coals nice and hot, and then just take that fucking pizza dough, lay it on the grill, flip it over after a minute. If you really want to get crazy, take some fucking garlic butter and hit one side of it.
Right.
While it's still in dough form.
Yeah, just like
Just
you would.
rolled dough?
Yeah, right before you put the sauce and shit on like that. Just a nice rolled dough. Psh, psh. And so you're kind of cheating a little bit because at that point, the pie crust is already done. And then you just take it out, sauce it up, toppings,
cheese, really.
and then throw it in the oven real quick. Done.
That almost sounds
Perfect.
like how like Pittsburgh does it. They do.
Oh, yeah?
They do cold cheese, cold sauce on cooked dough.
Oh, that's weird.
yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. It's a big
We're just
Pittsburgh
learning
thing.
all sorts of shit today. That's Philly style pizza. Or
Pittsburgh. Yeah, I don't know if they do it in Philly. They might do it in Philly. Philly's got good pizza too.
Yeah.
People sleep on Philly.
Well, yeah, it's Philly, you know.
Yeah.
The people seem terrible.
Well, it's southern Jersey, bro. Basically, it's rough business down there. It's a different world, but they have way more in common with northern Jersey than those poor fucks that are in the center of Jersey. You know, that's 100%. Just like farmlands and comic book guys. That's fucking what's his Smith, Kevin Smith. His shit's out of like central Jersey.
Yeah, Red Bank.
Yeah,
is where the original store. They lived in Highlands,
and that's like it's like suburbs and cow fields. There's not much else going on down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get that South Jersey, it's like a totally different thing. Cape May, Wildwood, Philly, and then Northern Jersey, it's just fucking
Atlantic
North Jersey.
City down there.
We don't need to talk about Atlantic City.
Uh-oh.
That place is rough.
Yeah, pretty gross place. Especially after the hurricane kind of fucked her.
Ooh, I bet. Okay, so do we have some topics from the listeners and stuff we can get into?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
That's not bad.
Oh, that's my grape?
Yes.
Is that a Nick or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So me and Sweet Lady Nicotine go way back.
So let's start here because I have a reading that we can actually open this up with. It's Nate actually requested this topic because we were talking about it on the range day. We were talking about how different, specifically this war in Ukraine and the wars that we're going to be in the future are going to look different than what we've experienced in the past. Even the global war on terror and World War, stuff like that.
Is Nate one of the Amblemen?
Yes.
Okay.
Nate is one of the Amblist men.
Yes.
Nice.
He's an active duty battalion ranger.
Okay. Yeah. He's the team's dude.
Nate's a fucking dog.
Nice.
He's the shit.
Yeah.
Nate is a really, really good guy. Yes.
He's the one that gave the medical training?
Yes.
Nate gave the medical training. He fucking hooked me up with sling that same day. I have nothing bad to say about
the
him.
most positive, like, uplifting guy.
Yes.
Like, there are a few dudes in that group who I, like when I was telling you, like, just that level of dudes you want to be around who, like, their aura will make your day better. Like, when I leave that group, dude, it's like, wow, I'm just so happy that people like this are in my aura and in my sphere.
One of the boys.
He's also the type of dude that you want in the military. He was talking a lot about his experience, so I won't delve into it because it's his deal. But the different kind of dudes that are there and that can subvert the good people that you want in the military out of being there. And he, he's almost on like a personal mission to not be one of those guys, to only build people up and not break people down and push people forward and make them better.
You weren't there, but he brought his boys. It was a kind of a last minute thing. It was only, I think, Sean, myself, and him and his buddies. He brought some of his ranger buddies to train because one of them was going to selection to go to Green Berets.
Oh, nice.
And he's like, "Oh, do you want to do this for a living, or like you want to gunfight for a living? Come out and go do some gun training. Like, come out with us." And it's like a dude taking his boys out and getting them guns for off duty is just,
Yeah.
that's the guy you want to be a leader in the military. And
Yeah.
I wish there were more guys like that. Military would be in a different place, but
Yeah.
it seems like the government's job is to get as many of those guys out of the military as possible.
Till a real life war breaks out. World War II, World War I. It's like you have
Ukraine, they fucking calling those fucking guys up right now.
Yeah, because you always have generations of like peacetime generals and even peacetime soldiers, up and down the chain, right? And then most of that is like politics and training type stuff, this, that, and the other thing. It's very like bureaucratic, and then wartime shit kicks off. All them dudes get cycled through real quick because they can't operate like that. And then you get the MacArthurs and the fucking like the hardcore generals that come in after the first like year of the war, because these guys know how to fuck around. You get the Admiral Halseys and shit like that that have to go replace all these people that didn't fight wars before. They did like battle training and stuff. They real time people come through when shit needs to happen. And we haven't had like a full scale type of shit like that in a very long time. And so even like the proxy wars or the the GWAT stuff,
Yes.
it's just very, very different.
What we have figured out is the logistics side,
Yes.
which is really
Yes.
what.
That's how
you
we
want
can
to
do
get
it.
into your thing and then talk about like the
Yeah,
logistics.
so
sorry, I didn't mean to hijack.
No. What you said is perfect, right? Because I want to read just the last.
You brought out D-Day, and I was like,
Yes, it's the very last part of this book because it's quotes from Eisenhower, right? And it's quotes from Eisenhower when he's on Normandy, I think 10 years after the invasion, right? So he's there with Walter Cronkite, and they're looking back on the beach and how different it is, the experience. So
little impromptu look inside the bookshelf.
yes. So I think it says in here when he was there. He was there in 1964. So General Eisenhower, who started it all with, okay, let's go. Order gets the last word. In 1964, on D-Day plus 20 years, he was interviewed on Omaha Beach by Walter Cronkite. Looking out of the channel, Eisenhower said, you see these people out here swimming and sailing their little pleasure boats and taking advantage of the nice weather and the lovely beach. Walter, it is almost unreal to look at it today and remember what it was. And this is really the part that I pulled out. But it is a wonderful thing to remember what those fellows 20 years ago were fighting for and sacrificing for, what they did to preserve our way of life, not to conquer any territory, not for any ambitions of our own, but to make sure that Hitler could not destroy freedom in the world. I think it's just overwhelming to think of the lives that were given for that principle, paying a terrible price on this beach alone on that one day, 2,000 casualties, but they did it so that the world could be free. It just shows what free men will do rather than be slaves. And when I read this and I told
chills.
Jordan,
Yeah, that
Chills,
last
man.
line, dude.
Whoa.
Wow.
when I told Jordan about it, I started to cry.
Yeah.
And I said, and I'm emotional about this because the military that I have known my entire life is nothing like this. Nothing what he just described. So that I've never served, right? So, but I've never known a military from the civilian side that has done something only to preserve freedom, only to help people. There has always been, and I'm sure you could even argue that for D-Day or for World War II, right? But for this invasion on D-Day particularly, that's the large goal of that was to liberate portions of the globe, was not to take that territory for America.
No.
It was to free the people that lived there who had already been taken.
Yeah,
and
who'd
that's
already been conquered by an evil force.
and even though that's been certainly part of the discussion and argument of why we were involved in the wars that we've been in since then,
Global war on terror.
it was never just for that purpose.
No.
And so to know that not only that there are soldiers, because we know people, our buddy Nate included, who's like, the goal is not, Nate does not want to expand the American empire, right?
No.
That's not what his goal is in being the military.
No,
so we know individual soldiers who live that life every day, but to know that there were at the top leadership who are saying, this is not what we're doing. We're not taking this for ourselves. We are here to save these people and to get the fuck home.
Yeah.
That's just not, it's so different than anything that I've ever known.
Well, the whole thing changed as soon as World War II was done. That's when the empire
And
started.
he's the one that said that he's like, you need to watch out for this. That speech of the military industrial complex of you need to.
Well,
be
what about
weary of
Korea?
this.
How do you feel about the Korean conflict?
I'm not as...
And I don't know that much about the
Yeah,
Korean
I
conflict.
know it
would
was
have to,
Oh, it was,
complicated, but it was still part of that...
it was Vietnam, essentially, where the communists in the north were pushing south.
Yeah.
Or, yes,
Yeah.
communists in the north were pushing south.
Yeah. It was like Patton, I think, that thought... I think it was Patton that kind of looked at the Soviets at that point, who were our ally.
He said World War II was not done yet.
We
until
needed to
beat the
keep going
Soviets.
to Moscow.
Yeah.
We need to roll through Berlin to get to Moscow.
Right.
Because, and that's led to everything else that's happened since then, essentially.
And we're still fighting the communists, essentially.
Yeah, and that was just
all the people who are high up in our government now who went to college in the 70s and the 60s with all these socialists.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
Because you were right. Was the very same mentality of Vietnam, even from the very beginning. Of we're going to help repel this that's going on here. We'll help you save yourselves, and then we'll help you repel communism. Because that's
Which is what we
really
did in Afghanistan for the first, when we weren't fighting them. We wanted to repel.
Certainly.
Yep.
Because Afghanistan is geographically located in the lowlands and the Himalayas. Like, it is easy to move an army through Afghanistan.
And I don't say any of that to shit on anybody else, or you know what I'm saying, or anything like that. Like, I'm not
Just
trying
markedly
to
different.
Yeah.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
I think about it all the time. Man.
Yeah.
Like,
when you really look, because you know how they say most people can't pick Ukraine out on a map. I would venture the same for Afghanistan. I bet a lot of people have no idea where the fuck it's at, because it is. I mean, it's in a tough part of the world as far as geography goes. It's just
Thought it was in Africa for a long time when I was
yeah.
younger. You know what I'm saying? You think sand and shit like that, not thinking about locations of anything.
mountains and it's highlands and
all
this
that
crazy
towards
shit.
Kabul is like that's part of the Himalayas where Mount Everest is.
Oh, yeah.
The my airfield, which is in the lowlands, was at 7,000 feet.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's high, and we're only going up from there.
Does it say with the elevation of Kabul? Let's go to Wikipedia real quick. Geography. 5,000 feet, and that's like the main city. 5,800 feet.
Yeah.
What's Denver at? Denver's, they call it mile high, right? It's about the same. And that's like not that high for Afghanistan. That's just chilling.
that's their lowlands.
Yeah, that's
Essentially.
wild. And that's still a fucking mile above sea level.
Yeah.
Because what's a mile is 5,280, I think.
Yep.
Feet.
5280.
Yeah. I should know that. I'm a surveyor, so I was a surveyor. I should have that down. But so the question essentially, or the topic, is how have wars changed from then to now and into the future, right?
And how they're going to be different, yeah. And I don't remember exactly the context that we were discussing it when we were out there last weekend, because he sent me like 3 messages, and that's the preface that he gave. Is like we were talking about this when we were out of the range, but a more discussion about this. And so we were talking a little bit about the political side of it.
So all war is also political too. It's important to understand that. There's
Yeah.
always political aspects to every war. I mean, governments go to war with each other.
Yeah.
So
I think we were talking about was we were trying to discuss what the purpose of this really was. The same thing that you and I were the episode before. And so we were discussing the importance of Ukraine itself, of that country. And I was making the point that like the United States government and military doesn't care about what happens to the country of Ukraine. Yeah. The concern in this particular issue is the westernmost border of Ukraine. That's what really matters to them, is what happens on the westernmost side. If Russia marches all the way up to that border and then stops right there, they're going to be concerned, obviously, because they're closer now. But the greatest issue of where they're stopping is solved. They're there. They haven't crossed NATO lines. We don't need to fucking worry about it. We don't have to send boots there any more than we have. And it is what it is.
So let me ask you this, because I know one of the major benefits of Ukraine as a nation is it is very resource rich.
Yeah.
I mean, everything from the soil to the minerals. You already have nuclear power plants. I mean, it's strategic as a strategic entity in like geopolitics. It's a very, very important nation as far as resources are concerned.
Which is part of the argument for why Russia is taking it, right? To secure that portion so they can secure independence.
I was going to ask you guys, what do you think about that side of things, as far as, because there's so many different angles to why the United States feels like they need to be super involved in this, since going back to the coup in 2014 and all the fuckery that's gone over there with our fingerprints all over it. I mean, is it strategic resources? Is how much of a factor, I should ask, how much of a factor do you think that is compared to any other factor that might come into play?
Like anything, it's a multi-faced argument. I'd like to talk from like Putin's side a little bit. Imagine being little 18-year-old KGB Putin, and
the
that
Soviet
is
Union.
part of your Soviet country. That is your country.
Yeah.
That's like me saying, well, now Mexico owns Texas again. Like, right? Like if Mexico took back over their part of Texas,
If America
I would
broke up,
never
yeah.
feel as an
Yeah.
adult, if I became president of the United States, I'd feel that part of Texas is still mine because that's what I grew up with, right? It's my, which is essentially what and his whole regime, all the people worked for most of their lives and early in their political lives. Ukraine and Romania and Czech, all these places were part of
The Union.
the greater Soviet Union. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, going back to Russian Empire times, back when the Tsars
even
ruled the land. I mean, that's
Even before that, Ottomans.
Oh, yeah.
Much bigger.
all the way back.
And we've talked about that especially when we're talking about this odd narrative of like the unprovoked invasion by Russia, and so we've discussed that on the show. We've said, I don't think it's
Like the
difficult.
standardized media narrative.
Yeah, I think it's
Out of nowhere, this just started happening.
yeah,
Like it
I
hasn't
think
been
it's-
that way for the last
think
8 years.
I think it's very, very difficult to argue that it's unprovoked, even if you don't open the aperture super wide. If you just do the 10-year look like you were talking about, we've been fucking around over there for 2014
Yeah.
to begin with,
Yeah.
And the moment that you start placing missile defense systems in other countries that are along their border, that are close to them, you start fucking with them.
And they
the
fought
same
to
cyber-
separate in the 80s too.
Yep.
So it's like that wasn't the
Yeah.
first time that area's been hot. The Chechen War and everything's
yeah.
similar. Yeah.
It's been a hotbed for hundreds. They've been a hotbed of conflict,
Yeah.
swapping territories and all this shit for longer than we've been a country.
And even just in Ukraine,
But we got a
there's-
good read on it. We got a good read on
Yeah.
what's going on.
even just in Ukraine, there's been civil issues within that country of people who in the eastern portion feel more Russian and they want to be part of the Russian nation, and people in the western portion are like, fuck that, I don't want to have anything to do with those people. We've been Ukrainian for however long now, and we want to stay being Ukrainian.
Yeah. When did Ukraine become a country?
I have fucking no idea. Yesterday, bro.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I think a lot of that region too, they feel like they want to go back to Russia because that would be the easiest way for them not to be in a war-torn part of the country, right? To get back to their normal lives, because they know Russia will always want that region.
Yeah.
And
If you just push the lines on the other side of my town,
yeah,
I might be all right.
and I'll have more financial assistance because Russia is more rich than Ukraine. Like
Yes.
that is just a fact.
It's undoubtedly,
Yeah.
They have the ability to manufacture wealth the same way that any of the other large powers do. So
Yeah.
Ukraine doesn't have even the infrastructure to appear like they're creating wealth. At least
Yeah.
in Russia, like we can just run factories and make
Well,
up money, and even if nothing's really happening,
Ukraine farms. They don't really produce.
yeah.
They're not producing cars. They're not producing computers. They're
right,
selling wheat and
and it also goes
harvesting
to
And it's
oil.
probably not all that GMO shit we grow over here either.
Right. Well, it also goes to a part of the globe that, as far as large powers go, we fucking push to the side. It goes to a lot of Middle Eastern nations and shit like that.
Yep.
That when the grain crisis started, when Russia stopped this grain deal, we were upset in America for about 5 seconds and then didn't care anymore. We never
Why
heard
would we
about it
care?
again.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, and that's precisely what I'm saying. Is they're
selling food is not something we should care about.
and part of the media narrative to keep interest is stories like that. Things that you can be upset about for 5 minutes because, people aren't getting food in the Middle East, but they know you don't really give a shit about that.
Yeah.
They can put it out.
It's a nice
and
talking point.
They can inflame you and make you more mad at Russia. And then when they can report on Ukraine the next day, we sent another 100 billion or another 100 million. Well, fucking good. They just ended that
well, they
grain
need to
shit.
eat their sandwiches, bro.
That's right.
Got to make them sandwiches.
Yeah.
I think it's like non-bread. It's not really. They're not doing
The pittas,
Wonder
bro.
Bread over there.
Yeah.
But so, quick update on when Ukraine became a country. Technically, it was after the Soviet Union fell.
That makes sense.
But that region is called Ukraine for a reason, right? It means like the middle ground or something like that.
Okay.
Or the eastern land. I can't remember exactly what it stands for.
something
but
like that.
so it's always been a solid region kind of its own.
Yeah.
And then at one point, like the Western powers do, we decided that we needed to draw some lines around it, and boom, there you
that
go.
works usually.
You guys are a country now.
Yeah, we love doing that shit.
Love lines.
We like lines so much because we only have two of them. We have a bunch of lines to separate the states. We don't really care about that shit. I mean, you drive right by them. Oh, there's
Right.
a sign. Cool.
Unless you have
Mexico,
drugs.
Canada,
Yeah.
and then oceans.
Yeah.
We don't need to worry about shit that kind of shit. So we
And
love.
even Canada, like
I still
Yeah.
think I feel like we need to bring democracy and freedom to Canada.
We
so
should
I'm
annex
ready
Canada.
to
Liberate
annex
the
Canada
Canadians.
and liberate the Canadians
Yeah.
from their tyrannical government.
I want to
I'm
follow
there
out
for it.
I want to follow the Fallout timeline of things, basically, where we go annex Canada.
Let's go.
Do we annex Canada and Fallout?
Yes.
I'm not that familiar with the full backstory.
The Fallout lore is sick. Same deal as the Star Wars. You can watch videos on it. It's
I'll
pretty
have
great.
to. I'll have
Fallout
to.
lore is probably the deepest in any game, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. maybe
Especially, yeah. There's
Well, because the games go back for a while. Like the original
Yes,
first two
20
Fallout
something
games.
years, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to think it started at 3 in New Vegas. Nah.
And that's where I got in at 3. I think I was pretty young when I got that, junior high or high school, something like that. So I just didn't really know, and I've never been a PC gamer, so I didn't know about Fallout 1 and 2 until
PC Master Race, bro.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that now, but then I had no idea, and I still game on console, but I have the correct understanding that the PC is the master race as
Oh,
far
yeah.
as video games
100%.
goes. That's
I did
where
a-
it's at. Yeah,
I will say I did a lot of console gaming over the last 4 days
Yeah.
because I was laying on my floor in my bedroom.
Yeah. Not exactly how you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. But I was real happy to have it though.
Yeah.
Because I was streaming YouTube on my phone to the TV and all that for a while. But every now and again, you need something else to throw on
Yeah.
besides watching podcasts for 12 hours a
Well,
day.
the console is just easier to get good at. Like it's easier to pick up and play.
And it's
yeah.
more
Just to-
leisure. You get to lean
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Get
I
back.
remember playing Call of Duty on a computer in high school in we took a CAD class, and when we were done, you got 3 extra days or whatever, so we played Call of Duty for a couple of days. And I was playing Call of Duty all the time on the PlayStation then, and then switched to computer. I was like, this is gay as fuck.
Yeah.
This is fucking horrible. Why would anyone ever want to play like this? Because it's harder. It's way harder, but that's how the best people are playing is on the fucking computer.
I
So-
can't play like first person shooters and stuff unless I'm playing PC.
Yeah.
I
I'm a Counter-Strike player, so
just
that
can't-
is,
yeah.
the blood life of gaming.
Even
That's-
then, I played on Xbox, and then when I got older, played on Xbox. Like, why are you playing on that? Only computer. That's just
Well,
Yeah.
Just
consoles
better.
are plug and play. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
PCs, you might have to fuck with things.
Build.
Yeah, you might
Yeah.
have to play
Yeah.
with some shit in there.
Right.
You plug your PlayStation in, HDMI port to the TV, power wall in.
Bing.
We're good to go.
The best
Wait
computers
for
are,
fucking PlayStation to update for 4 hours and then you can play.
Yeah, you can't avoid that anywhere you go
No.
now.
the best computers are built, not bought. You know.
Yeah.
And PS4s you just buy at fucking Best Buy. So.
Yeah, yeah. The wife is a Twitch streamer, and so she streams from her computer, but all the games she plays are on consoles, still. So she'll sit there and play with a controller on her computer screen with the consoles there. I'm like, why don't you just pull the fucking
Play PC
pull
and
the trigger and
use
just
the controller.
PC it up? I mean,
Because
that's,
you can use
could you
control
do
on
that
your
too?
PC,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like all pro Rocket League players, they play on controller because it's
Rocket
easier to roll
League.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I never played that. It looks
they play on
super
PC.
fun.
Oh,
You know what Rocket League is?
Yes.
Okay.
The soccer
It
with
looks-
the cars, right?
yeah.
absolute great game.
It's
Just
like-
truly a skill-based game.
Yeah.
Really?
No pay to win. It's like Counter. Like there's no. Oh, I have a higher unlocked car. I could do this. Nope.
Yeah.
Everything is exactly the same. It is all your skill.
Yeah,
I like
just got to
that.
play some footy on 4 wheels, baby.
Oh, it's
like
so
that.
fun. That's the game me and my boys play. We got a good group. We're like top 20% of all
Yeah.
players. So
Jesus.
yeah,
and I will
pretty
say,
good.
I think that's why Carolina doesn't switch over to PC because all her friends and stuff all play on consoles too.
The
and
cross-platform thing's hard.
Yeah,
Well,
It's
and there would be a
so
learning curve.
stupid
She
these
wouldn't-
days.
She wouldn't be as good when she switched to PC as she, because
No.
she's very good on
It's
console.
very different-
I've played with her before. She's
Very
good.
different muscles.
Yeah,
you know.
I've played like Rainbow Six and stuff with her. She's very good. So
Oh, she's fucking
yeah,
nasty,
she's
bro.
very good. Yeah.
It's scary.
So we also talked about. I'm remembering now. Part of the reason that we got to this discussion about Ukraine is because I was asking Nate about the rhetoric around the terms of like World War III that you and I were talking about last time, right? And he was agreeing because we were talking about scale specifically, right? That I was like, I
Yeah.
feel like this is getting thrown around a lot. And I was really only because I was reading that book was I even thinking about that, you
Yeah.
know? But just the scale. Simply in loss of life, if nothing else, that you're talking about when you call something a world war, as opposed to anything fucking else. You know,
Yeah.
a conflict, the global war on terror, any of that. Like even, you know, what I'm saying that wasn't a world war. That was the global war on terror because the scale is so different. The scale of operation was enormous, but the scale of
Yeah.
loss of life was so different.
Economically and politically, it was
Yes.
affected the whole globe,
100%.
but not the loss of life.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the only thing really that precludes it from that type of thing is that if it were to have the same loss of life, it would immediately that would be World War III. That's
But I
the way
think
that it
Ukraine
evolved.
shows like we could have the same level of destruction.
It certainly could.
Very
I
easily.
am not at all removing that from possibility. My only thing is that people are throwing that around like it's happening right now, and I think there's a lot of shit that needs
Really?
to happen.
Okay, I see.
There's a lot
I see
of
why
shit,
where you're.
a lot of stuff
yeah.
that needs to happen before we call this World War III.
Yeah.
Right. I'm certainly there. One box is ticked. We've got fucking 20 nations involved in a conflict in one country. One box has been ticked. We have multiple nations involved. Even if you just want to boil it down to, oh, it's really just NATO and Russia. That's bullshit, right? Because there's however many fucking nations in NATO. This is, on that sense, a world war because this many nations are involved. The amount of money is certainly getting up there. The amount of arms that are getting up there.
You know how rich this has made Saudi Arabia?
Oh, yeah.
Certainly.
Jeez.
I mean, we not too long we talked about the cycle they're running, like reselling this Russian oil that they're getting and selling their other shit. I mean, they're making money hand over. I mean, Live Golf is an immediate, is a direct result of certainly in part to this war in Russia and the amount of money that they're making there.
100%.
So we started talking about that, and Nate was agreeing on the loss of life scale, and that's when we started to talk about how important Ukraine was, whether we'd be willing to commit that amount of life there and that type of thing. And then we talked about do you guys have anything to say about that?
Yes.
Okay.
I did have a point on that. So one of the key differences here is that if there is going to be technically something that in the history book is looked back and called World War III, I don't really know what they called it during the 1940s. Did they call it World War II?
In
Or did
World
they just
War I,
call
it was
it
the Great War. Even then, they were calling it the Great War.
Yeah, that was the Great War, but I don't know what they referred to it
I
as
believe
at
from
the
watching
time.
documentaries, they called it Hitler's War for a long time.
And see that
The
makes
war
sense.
in Europe, because for a vast
Like,
majority
what
of
are they
the
calling it now?
just in
They're
Europe.
calling it like Putin's war.
Yep. And so that's why it's something you could look back on, and without the full mobilization and like total war that each preceding World War has had, you're looking at wars into the future and stuff like that. We don't fight wars with total mobilization anymore. The governments that are behind these wars don't necessarily want that because there's too much negative behind it. You lose too many people. You have to completely, it's a hard reset on your entire economy. All the infrastructure has to change, everything.
Especially if it's not for a polarizing purpose like it was in World War II.
Yes.
If you don't have everyone who's getting behind it, then you certainly can't convince everyone to go.
No.
Yeah, they made it 100 miles in, if that.
You talking about in Europe?
Yeah.
Oh, to the Russians. Yeah, like 120 miles. Yeah, it was
something like
not
that.
super far.
Yeah, and who knows their true ambitions there, but yeah, at the end of the day, the way we do wars now is like
Thank you.
we do nations supply aid to the actual fighting parties, the same way we've been doing proxy wars now since the OSS was hanging out in fucking Laos and shit. That's when proxy wars really started to hit, particularly after Korea and Vietnam. Vietnam's probably the closest we got to like a more full mobilization type of war, even though it really wasn't. It was still very proxy.
Yeah, I think once we had paramilitary groups that we didn't have to send the squad, you know what I'm saying? Because it was the OSS that was doing that shit, right?
Well, and before that, it was private companies, trading companies who were backing proxy wars for our own interests.
Banana Republic, like that. Over resources that was more transparent.
And yet we have PMCs too. Blackwater did a lot of shit going on in the Middle East.
The
Wagner Group over in Russia right now. This is not Russian regulars for the most part. You're seeing these are all Wagner people and shit like that.
Certainly the productive fighting,
immigrants.
Yeah. The amount of shit that has been done in Africa by private military groups is insane. It was just in the last couple of years that the public was like, well, we have fucking anybody operating in Russia?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What are you talking
There
about?
was a soldier that was killed in like Niger or something, or Somalia or some random fucking place. And we're like, why are there anybody there at all? Well, actually, there's like a couple hundred dudes there.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
And fucking Somalia's heating up again.
yeah. And
That shit's still going on.
general public just had
No idea.
didn't care, but also didn't know.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think as we go further into this might be looked at back on and called World War III just because of the totality of the nations that are involved.
Yeah.
India's involved, China's involved, when you think the BRICS nations, right?
Certainly in the political side, yeah.
Yeah, the BRICS nations are being created to subvert the West's like monopoly on
Explain
economic power.
BRICS. Sorry, I'm not familiar with that
The
term.
BRICS nations are, so it's an acronym. It stands for Brazil, Russia, India, C, or is it K? BRICS, and then South Africa. Trying to remember the other one. India, China, duh, that's the C. Yeah, and they are creating like a new economic bloc. And they've essentially through various
reverse
agreements, yeah, it's reverse NATO.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
And
primarily,
Saudi's walking the line right now.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and I think Saudi's kind of got like a generalized invite to it to become a part of that. But I mean, Pakistan's going to get involved. All these other nations, I wouldn't be surprised if they start trying to like talk Taiwan into being involved because they need to do something to without invading their country and getting it back. But
Which I wouldn't be surprised is why we were so quick about letting these other nations into NATO, just to close out any possibility that they might be.
But NATO means nothing to. Really.
No, I just mean.
no, man, the Soviets are gone. I don't even know why they exist anymore.
Yeah.
But like NATO countries haven't even
Done anything.
taken place. Yeah, like they have. Nobody in England's over there fighting in Ukraine right now. Just like.
Yeah, there might be like the odd
Not any regulars.
foreign legion guy,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's no NATO regulars. I mean, it's all just sending weapons and money and type of shit to keep it going. And so I think I don't
I know
think
they're training people. Like they've brought Ukrainians over to train. I
Yeah.
don't know the status. I know that the only nation I know for certain because of reporting has NATO labeled boots on the ground is the United States.
Yeah.
I don't
Of
know.
course.
I would assume because of that some other nations have a couple of dudes there.
At least the Five Eye has got to be involved.
I know the
Yeah.
French Foreign Legion's there.
Yeah.
So I
They're
wouldn't,
everywhere.
So I wouldn't be surprised, if they have the same advisors that we have there, probably on a much lesser scale. But
Advisors.
yeah, they
Yeah.
got a couple of dogs there.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we go into the future, I don't know
That's the shit. That
what it
scares
would
me.
actually take for modernized nations, particularly in the West, to go to like a total war front again. I don't know. Like you'd have to have a catalyst that is so polarizing to the
Yeah.
public, nuclear strike or something. I don't even know if that would do it, to be honest. But
The support of another nation, like if China or something was like, we're fucking backing them 100%.
We want
Yeah.
Japan right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they also made a move, I could see that because I agree, and that's always been part of my hesitancy with World War III, like that globalized part of it, with the idea of nuclear warfare, like these things, I have a difficult time conceptualizing the reality of them because of precisely the events that they would precipitate. That like the nations that would require to be involved don't want that. It doesn't behoove them. Where none of us are really in, and I mean the large world powers, China, Russia, United States are not.
they're not really interested.
We're not in the economic position to go to a full war mobilization like we did the other times. It's not. There
Well,
are
at
not
this
enough
point-
people who are even down with that to say, yeah, I'll fucking turn my factory over into a bullet making
yeah.
factory so that we can send it to Ukraine.
No.
Like that's just not. So that the message has not polarized the way that it did the other times for that to even be feasible in my mind.
Yes, and I think, like you said, like the governments in charge don't want that because it's just too costly. The modernized infrastructure and the globalist nature of all, the global economy, everybody loses if shit like that goes down. But it's okay because all of our governments have figured out how to wage the same style wars to get what they want in the end through proxy wars and guerrilla warfare, small time tactics, stuff like that. The stuff we've been doing now
Empirical
for
tactics,
30 years,
Regime change.
way longer than that, since Vietnam. That's just the way we've done things from then on. And as a national government, why the hell would you ever want to do something like a full mobilization to get this war done? I mean, you're not, unless there's another Hitler that's marching across Europe or something like that. And even then, it'd be a harder sell today than it was back in the 40s.
Yeah.
But I don't think,
Especially with the way our military numbers are now, where we're fucking way in decline.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to
25% down.
Yeah, even just fucking GWAT,
Yeah.
way down from there.
Oh yeah. Well,
And that's why they have to call people up to do.
Well, and
training
even
shit.
GWAT too. I mean, we had maybe 15-20% of our forces over there at any
Right.
given time.
yeah, and that's
It was
that
a
says
rotational
lot.
war, not World War II, where you went over there till the war was done.
Yes, and you were
You'll
lucky.
be back in 9 months, and
Yeah.
you were back in 2 years.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be a whole different thing. And I just don't think we can get to that place anymore. But that doesn't mean it's not World War III. It doesn't mean it's not gonna be the same style of warfare as it was in 2 or even in 1. I mean, 1 started out very differently. Fucking the shit that's going on in Ukraine right now, it probably has more similarities to World War One than it does World War Two. I mean, we're talking trench warfare,
Yes, certainly the
stalemates,
fighting, yeah.
pushing inches, losing feet. You know, it's not much, and it's just this fucking meat grinder now. And I don't think going into the future, in particular, like World War III, World War IV, you know, whatever it is, you go into the future. I don't know if we'll ever see full mobilizations again, because we don't have to anymore. The governments involved aren't interested in that, and they've realized they can get what they want without having to do that. Particularly now with like the emphasis on cyber warfare, things that you can do online. You can get into the you can hack into the mainframe and overload power stations, and then boom, 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 and destroy infrastructure that'll knock out that country for 10, 20 plus years, and then have a 100-year recovery process at that point. Now you've just gone from like, I'm the number 3 player in the world to now I'm the number 2 player in the world, or even the number 1 player in the world, without having to deploy massive armies and airdrop into countries and take territory that you know is only going to, it's going to be way more of a detriment than anything else. All you really want is the resources, and there's nothing in this world on a national level now that you can't essentially get through like cyber means or something like that, or trade deals or something like that. There's ways to have a proxy war in Afghanistan to get a hold of the fucking coal mining or the cobalt mining rights in there, which is what you're going to use to power the next stage of innovation around this or that and the other thing, or hold control over the Congo. You know, whenever you have sway over that gives you leverage over everybody else that doesn't have a fucking cobalt mine or something like that. That's what they don't want to have wars and risk losing their fortunes because, you know, people's sons, daughters, fathers, uncles and shit are going over there and fucking getting slaughtered. And then next thing you know, you supported that idea. Now I don't have a job anymore because I'm a politician who decided this was a good idea. Where I'm just going to stay fat and happy and have these little proxy wars, and it's a small amount of blood that needs to be put in there. Treasure doesn't matter anymore because we have this bullshit fiat currency system that doesn't matter and is backed up by the Fed that has unlimited power to print as much money as they want. So why in the world would we ever want to go full mobilization? Nobody wants that. Putin doesn't want that. Xi Jinping doesn't want that. We certainly don't fucking want that at all. I mean, when you can wage wars with special forces and guerrilla war tactics and proxy states.
Well, we can make money off this war. We're not going to make money when we're sending our Abrams tanks across the ocean.
Nope.
I think the big difference in when we can start calling it maybe a world war is when these countries, the main powers, start taking their reserves, not the reserve soldiers, but them too, but their weapon reserves. Mm-hmm. And I think we could produce more than what's being spent in Ukraine right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're not tapping into maybe some older, I know they said that they're trying to spin up some older rocket systems and stuff that the reason we're going through those reserves is because we don't have active production lines and we're not going to send some of that stuff over.
Well, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was say all the stuff that's in production now is probably stuff we don't necessarily know about type of thing.
Well, that's the stuff that's in production now. They don't necessarily want Ukraine to have because then it gets into the wrong hands. Like some of these, they're generally called man pads, but man shoulder fired rockets that could take out aircraft. Well, that's a big thing. Like you don't want your most modern, because chances are your targeting systems in that will defeat your own anti-measure systems on your own aircraft.
That's why we were hesitant in the beginning to send the Patriots and stuff like that. We're like, we're not sending the top shit, but we'll send you the other shit that we have.
We're not making some of that older stuff anymore. Right. So these companies now they have to hire the people, hire the old engineers to come back and start those older lines back up again.
Retrain people and stuff.
Yeah. And that's why we're going through those reserves. But we're not going through our fresh hot shit reserves that we have, all the nice technology that.
So you don't think, so let me ask you this, there's been, we all know how questionable leaks are from the government, but there's been supposedly military officials that are coming out and saying that we are degrading our own reserves and are in questionable position to defend our own nation. You think that's not true? I'm not saying they are. I'm asking you.
I'm not saying that's not true. It's not true in the sense that we couldn't wage war right now because we're defeating our...
You don't think we're
jeopardizing... We don't have the manpower to do that right now.
You don't think we're jeopardizing our own defense to send weapons and equipment
in absolutely no position to know the answer to that.
What's your opinion? You were in the Army for however long you were in. Based on what you saw, do you think that the military and the leadership...
I don't think it's the war that's doing that. I think it's how much they're spending like our military budget goes up, but our training hours are down. Like
Yeah.
my pilot buddy, his training hours have been down over the last few years.
Right, but the defense budget goes up every year
the defense
by
budget-
billions of dollars.
Yeah, and
We're not bringing on new people.
Right.
a lot of the stuff that we're sending to Ukraine isn't coming out of that defense budget. That's special.
Right.
That's
Right.
coming. Whatever. I don't know the word.
Executive allocations that are
exactly.
tacked onto the defense budget.
Exactly. I just think it's everything costs more now too. Like that rocket that was $20,000 and in early GWAT is now a $100,000, right?
Yeah.
Because the sensors and the computer chips, and that was a big issue too. Everything has so many chips in it now.
Well, and that goes
When
into their
COVID
wrong
hit.
pricing. You know, they've had at least 2 times now. Like, well, we miscalculated the amount of aid that we sent over there, so actually it's this much and not this much.
Yeah. Because a lot of that aid, too, I think we've mentioned it before, but a lot of that aid is like 80% of it just goes directly to the
Raytheon,
to the manufacturers
Yeah.
over here. They get a
That
fraction
aid,
of
they're
it.
not
and then
getting
they
a check over there.
No,
Yeah.
they're getting equipment and shit. I mean,
Exactly.
we do send checks so that they can operate their government and pay
Right.
their employees, which is
They've
fucked
got a
up.
few
But hey, you
pallets
know,
of cash,
we got some stuff going on over
Well,
there.
and it means nothing
But-
anyway.
No. Yeah, amen.
So let me
Amen.
ask you about these 2 things. One of them is the tech aspect that we were talking about a little bit, right? The way that this war and in the future is going to look different technologically than the ones we've seen in the past, because we all know how quick technology moves. Even same deal, we've talked about it a ton of times, but even from GWAT to now, the technology is very different, you know. And then a lot of the stuff that we've seen in Ukraine is different than I think what we expected. You know,
Like the drone shit.
the drone stuff and
Dropping grenades and shit.
in some ways it seems like that has kind of it has fueled that trench warfare, you know, that the type of like mass mobilization isn't possible because of the way that they're deploying explosives like that, you know, that
Real time information too.
yes,
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
being able to see exactly what alleyway these troops are coming down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Real time. It's like, okay, we're gonna take that alley, and we're gonna fight back at that alley where you were getting spilled over before you even realized
Yeah.
that was happening.
Especially because they're like civilian style drones and not military ones, so they cost $50 and not $5,000 or $50,000. So
Yeah.
you can have a case of them, and if you throw one up and it gets blasted by the guy
Yeah.
who saw it at the end of the alley, well, fucking grab another one, fire it up, and we'll fucking send it down the block. You
Yep.
know?
And you had all the live streaming video that you saw on that thing before it got tapped out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is,
That
you used to
too-
rely on, like, you know, satellite imagery that, depending on, you know, you could probably go a little fucking fictional with it, and so you could get real-time satellite info and stuff like that. Maybe. I don't...
Still a
I don't-
delay,
It's
yeah.
still some kind of delay, but
over
now
there
it's...
we'd get like predators up there,
Yeah.
ISR. They'd be
Yep.
sitting at 18,000 feet with
Oh, yeah.
crazy cameras zoomed in, and yeah, you could see people now. But I could have you throw up a drone on that side of the wall and see exactly what's going on.
Right.
It's...
Maybe even better
You don't need
because
to
it's
ask.
way
You don't, have
closer.
to, you don't have to dispatch that plane. It's not going to take an hour to get on station. It's now.
Yeah.
You're
Yep.
getting it right now when
It's
you
the...
need it.
Talk to the guy on the other side of the town who was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I got those."
Yeah, this is a difference in battlefield tactics. Whereas before, surveillance and drones and things like that were used on a strategic level. Now this is like a unit that needs a tactical advantage can fly up some eyes to whatever they need. So you kind of you go down from the macro side down to the micro side, and it's now on the level of individual battlefield tactics instead of overall strategy.
Yeah.
You're not flying around a couple Predator drones, you know, like that, and then whoever needs it has to contact whoever the fuck and get
Exactly.
access.
Yep.
Now it's like, just
Yep.
throw that shit up. Let's see what's around that fucking corner. I don't
Who has
trust
a grenade? Tie it
Yep.
on there. We'll fly
Yeah.
it down to
Done.
the ground.
Yeah,
And
that's a
we've
huge
seen
difference.
A ton of that. I saw a video just this morning, drone flying into a car that was driving the road, and they
And
yeah.
No,
Just
neither
straight
side
into
has
the car.
doctrine to combat it yet.
Nope.
No.
And they will eventually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a brand new style of warfare.
No, we've seen the videos of the Ukrainians using shotguns to shoot down drones out of there because
Which-
that's the in some places that's the best they've got is like
But at
every-
100, if a drone's 100 feet above you and you have a shotgun, dude, you're not gonna hit shit with that shotgun.
right.
No.
They were using rifles at first, and they
Yeah.
picked up a shotgun when they got close
Let's
enough.
try this.
Yeah,
There's so many videos of dudes just wasting mags of ammo with an AK trying to
Yeah.
get these things out of the air, and it's
Yeah.
Never
There was
gonna
a.
you
happen.
duck hunt, dude. How hard is it to hit a thing in the air?
It's, you know, they're fast, but I'm good.
and the drones flying faster.
But they got to
than
be
a bird.
close.
Yeah, they got to be close. That's
Yeah.
the-
No, man, them motherfuckers dart.
I wonder
Depending
how-
on what kind.
Yeah,
I tagged
probably
this fucking teal coming in last year. It was a side to side thing. And it was maybe
teals are quick, yeah.
maybe 15 yards in front of me, but this thing fucking came in. Everybody blast, 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 and I'm like, bam, nailed it.
Birds are
Beautiful.
pretty fucking fast. You're
Beautiful
right.
bird.
Yeah, when they're zooming, you know.
Yeah,
when
they
they're
can-
not
they
like
could fly,
flapping
baby.
and they're just
Well, imagine a dude with an FPV drone. Like, you ever see the stunt guys or whatever? For like $200, I was at a Olala Elementary School one day, and this dude was bringing his drone, going in and out of all their playground and stuff under the slide, just zooming, probably going up in the air a couple 100 feet, back down.
Bro.
And they're wearing whatever. You could go through one of their tunnel systems, and there are videos of people doing that, and be like, okay, there's this many guys, there's this many rifles. This is exactly what they have.
God damn.
Those FPV drones are insane, and you could build them on Amazon for nothing.
Yeah.
With this ID law that's coming in I think it's December, where all these like really commercial drones will have to be ID'd by the FAA.
I just started to hear about this.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
I've
all
seen
kind of
people
knew
just.
that was coming slowly down the pike, I think.
Yeah, you can't be flying shit around in the
Well,
air
it's
and let the
dangerous
government
to
not say
airlines. That's
anything.
why
Yeah.
0 deaths have occurred because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's for your safety.
It's for your safety, guys. And so
They want to
we
know
can
who's
track
watching
you.
what.
Yeah.
Who's,
Yep.
What we're using them for.
I remember it started out, you just can't fly one of these within like 1,000 feet of an airport. And now it's like, well, no, if it's this type of drone, now you got to
We want to know
register.
where the operator is.
Yeah, got to take a training course, get registered, find out what's going
Same thing
on.
with the ham radios. It's the same
Yeah.
with fucking people sitting
Fucking
in their
ham
houses who
radios,
you were
dude.
talking about that are just bullshitting. They're fucking hanging out. They're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
to their homies on the other side of the country. They're not
Yeah.
doing anything. But we need to know.
But now
who you're
they're
talking
trying to tighten up on the ham stuff too, because they're realizing groups like us are.
Yeah.
That's going to be our primary.
Well, and I was just going to say for the drones, like there are a couple of different, call them whatever you want, tactical, militia, military style groups, groups like ours that are different, that are getting together and doing similar type of stuff.
The constitutionally necessary assembly of a militia.
Yeah, of different, of
Yeah.
varying
Which
degrees. And
I wouldn't even call us. We're just We're just training firearms group.
No,
we're
because
just the
militias don't
amblemen. I don't.
militias don't exist until they're called upon. But what you guys are doing are creating a cohesive group that
We're
understand how to do
responsible
that, to understand if the call was to come one day where you needed to be to form a militia,
Yeah.
you have a cohesive unit already.
And we're good actors. The way I see it, like nobody
Yeah.
should have to worry about anything we do.
No.
Like,
No.
we're good
No.
people.
We are.
Because I don't know if they're with a bunch of, because it's always like on the news and shit whenever they talk about militia. It's always like a bunch of white supremacists out in the woods, like
Yeah.
doing some stupid shit. And then they're like, oh, that's a militia right there.
Yeah.
No, man, that's
No.
not a militia.
We're a group of not even concerned but responsible citizens that are
Mm-hmm.
getting together to make sure that we are able to carry out whatever duty is, we feel is necessary at the time.
Yep.
But these other people that I follow on the internet, I've seen them start to involve drones in the footage that they are putting out on the internet.
Oh.
So you can easily surmise the different ways that they're like, well, what other ways can we, use this tactically? Can we? That's just kind of the natural progression of that thing. And I guarantee
You're seeing them on
that-
fire scenes now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
doing
So-
360s just to see it.
Yeah.
So
it's
I-
big. I saw a video from a Chinese building on fire, big high rise and shit, and it was like it was probably like 24 fucking crazy ass drones attached to like some foam hoses and shit, and they were up there spraying down the building.
Wow.
It's cool shit.
Chinese are going wild with the drones.
Yeah.
That's
Scary.
They were
uncomfortable.
disinfecting with
Yes.
the drones during COVID
Yes,
and
I
stuff.
remember that.
Yeah.
Walking around just spraying mist.
That's
around
when you
the
got to
whole
get a
city.
bunch of drones that know how to. Well, they've got them now. They're the chaser drones that they got little charges on them. You fly it to that other drone and detonate it and try to knock other drones out.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
these
Swarm
drone things
tactics are scary.
Crazy.
Oh, so what I'm saying is I guarantee the same with the ham radios that is playing a portion, playing a part in these calls for renewed regulations that are coming about is because of like
We got to clamp down.
they're finding their ways into the groups, into the the domestic violent extremists are fucking teching up with these drones now.
Yeah, you got all these guns out there. No one's been overthrown. No governor's been killed.
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
For such a violent group of
Yeah.
domestic terrorists rolling around, it seems to be relative.
Almost like our.
Yeah, all the criminals are running around with
The one
guns.
plot
Yeah.
to kidnap the one governor was filled with fucking federal agents.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
beautiful.
Same with
It's a
like the
beautiful
Jan
thing.
6 stuff too. I mean, at this point, how many
It's bad.
FBI agents were involved?
Dozens.
No, we don't know.
Yeah.
And like the way they.
What do you
talk
mean you
about
don't
it,
know? It's crazy.
Like they were gonna stay there, and this is our government now. It's like they were there just fucking around inside of a building,
bro.
being idiots. They had no.
Yes.
They were gonna go home and have a beer and sleep in their own bed that night. They didn't
Yes.
know. And no idea it was going to turn into what it turned
Ain't nobody
into.
looking to like step up to. I'm the new Speaker of the House now. Who's going to do this? Who's going to
thing
run the
that
governmental system?
I just wanted to piss on Nancy Pelosi's desk.
I mean,
Take a shit on it. Yeah. The thing
I mean, I'd like to do that too, in a way.
The thing I find the most entertaining about that argument is how quickly it cuts against itself. You know, it's like you're telling me that the greatest nation in the world, for your own argument, was that subject of being overthrown by a bunch of fucking fat assholes that were able to storm the Capitol on a
Basically
random
unarmed.
fucking Tuesday.
Yeah.
On a random Tuesday, you found six
Yes.
dudes who had guns on them.
Yeah.
They were going to take over the whole country that day. They were going to take over the whole fucking government that day. That's what we're arguing right now. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous fucking thing to say. When immediately afterwards and in the weeks preceding, we saw that mass mobilization of armed forces who took over the fucking Capitol.
Yeah.
You're telling me they had no chance of combating all those dudes that stormed the Capitol.
No.
No chance to take any of those dudes out. They couldn't have murdered them all on the steps of the Capitol building in 5 fucking seconds if they wanted to. No.
Almost
it's
like
impossible.
they didn't find it as a risk.
Isn't it weird? Isn't it weird how close they were all to dying, but that there was no military because there's none anywhere near DC. There's no fucking military anywhere near DC.
No.
It's going to take hours to mobilize anybody to get there. This is a ridiculous
Would have
thing.
taken forever to
Yeah, it's
get
crazy.
some armed men to the Capitol building.
Well, it's-
Ridiculous fallacy that they've built around it, and the fact
yeah.
that it's survived this long is, I say, confusing and shocking like all the time, like it means something. You know, it's just weird. It's weird that anybody this far out from January 6th is still talking about how it was a fucking insurrection. You know,
Yeah.
AOC is talking about how fucking scared she was on that day. All this stuff is
Lies.
so bizarre.
Yeah.
and it
They've got nothing to held on to.
it just underlines how transparent it all is.
Mm-hmm.
That this is obviously to a motive for something else.
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
because
this
even when
isn't-
they use their secondary narrative at that point, we're like, well, I mean, but it was really Trump's fault that this happened because
Right.
he could have called in the National Guard. Then you go, wait, pause button. I mean, he asked for this from the mayor, from the DC mayor, and all this for weeks beforehand, and they were like, nah,
Don't
we're
need
not
it.
into it. We're not into it.
Don't need it.
well, a lot of things really don't add up about the entire situation, and it's
when they talk about Nancy Pelosi, they're like, well, she's not in charge of the military. Yeah, number 3 in the nation has no control over anything at all.
No.
She definitely
Zero influence.
She definitely couldn't call a fucking general and say, we're all about to die. We need someone here. And he would
actually,
say, I gotta fucking call someone first.
I
just can't do
don't
anything.
think they would have showed.
I'm just creating
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I think that's like Ukraine when they have these civil wars and stuff. They have stockpiles and all these little militant groups and leaders. We don't have stockpiles of
Right.
anti-tank rounds and like we have nothing but AR-15s and 9mm pistols in the
Right.
military
or 10 mils. Some people
or
got
10
that.
mils.
He's,
yeah,
he's in the military.
yeah.
They might have
yeah,
some
yeah.
stuff back in the cabinet somewhere.
But
just
like-
in case
but
they
like-
go into the snow.
And then we have the military who has all these weapons. Like, yeah, the people couldn't fight the military, but the military's not going to fight the people because they're going to break apart. The
Well,
military
yeah.
will shatter.
Well, and I will say that the people can fight the military because the people in other nations have been doing it for a very long time and been surprisingly successful at like stalling the United States military's strategy.
It's the
in
strategy
lots of
they're
places.
beating. They're not beating the military.
Yeah,
we can
'cause-
roll through a place in 2
Because
seconds.
guerrilla warfare, ever since it really got popularized, say in like Vietnam era or even like Korea and stuff like that, it's an incredibly difficult entity to fight. I mean, the American Revolution, for God's sakes. I mean, if it wasn't for the French, I don't think the guerrilla war tactics would have like ultimately played out in our favor. But I mean, we pushed it well enough along until the French really showed up and really kind of helped fuck up the British a little bit. But I mean, every standing army has an issue with guerrilla warfare because it's so decentralized. It's so, I mean, it could come from anywhere at any time, and it's small groups of people that can do a decent amount of damage. And it's incredibly hard to fight back when you think about like a standing army's the way they fight, because armies are meant to fight other armies. They're not meant to like suss out pockets of guerrilla warfare groups and take those down. And as soon as you take one down, there's 2 more down the street that might pop up tomorrow. Like, it's incredibly difficult to fight. And guerrilla warfare has been incredibly successful in overthrowing multiple nations now for decades. South America,
kicking
Central
them out,
America. Yeah, like causing enough
Centuries.
issues. Yeah, centuries. I mean, that's how we fucking kicked out the British,
But
essentially.
I don't think there'll ever be a point where, as collectively as a nation, there's enough people taking up arms. I don't think we'll ever get to that point. It'll
I
always
don't
be
think
like
so.
neighbor v. neighbor. But if the military ever is involved, the military is going to get scattered.
Oh yeah,
You're going to have National Guard groups going, no,
we're not doing
we're
this.
on that. We're on the people's side,
Right.
And even
I'm from
active
here.
duty
I'm not
guys,
killing
like,
my brother.
Yeah.
I'm not
Like,
shooting my
I'm-
fucking high school coach.
Yeah, I'm disabling my aircraft. Like I'm
Right.
fighting out
Yep.
the motors, and I'm out of here.
And that's why
I'm AWOL.
when we've talked about that, we've talked about like the only way that begins to be feasible is when you take dudes from one part of the world or the nation and send them in the other part of the nation.
Yeah.
Because like you said, someone who's from Alabama is not going to kill the people from Alabama. They're
But
even less
state
like
lines, we're still so culturally
I
similar.
totally agree.
Yeah.
With you. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
That's why I said the only way it even begins to be feasible is if
Yeah.
you're taking someone who's
Yeah.
from Florida and putting them in California and saying, kill that fucking guy. And it's that lack of connection you have to hope is there because they're hopefully so disconnected from the nation itself that they're
Yeah.
only thinking on state
Yeah.
lines.
It's
And
going to
to
be
get-
small groups of people being
Yes.
like, I don't like this local policy. We're going to have to physically change something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you think about how local politics and local government work, that's not a big ask. I mean, there's so many ways to like put pressure on a system like that externally without having to resort to like, I mean, you could literally just have a gang of people protesting outside, just walk in and just remove everybody from the office. There's nobody needs to get, there's no firearms need to be pulled out, all
Yeah,
that shit.
exactly.
You know, that
I think
there's
a lot
so
of
many
that-
different
I
ways.
think a lot of that depends on what the response is from the state. You know,
Yeah.
I was because you want to talk about unions. I rewatched one of these union documentaries from. It was about the West Virginia coal mines, right? And these mine wars and how bad they got. And part of the reason it got so bad was because the people who were owning the mines were bringing in like private police forces, and they were literally killing people in the mines that were union workers and stuff like that. And so I think that will be a huge role. The response from the initial push from the citizenry, the response from the state that comes from that. You know, if there's like a really harsh crackdown from the police, from something like that, I think there's more likely to be an armed response to that from the citizenry than if there's a more cordial political response from the state. You know what I'm saying?
All it would take is a couple of the largest businesses in an area to say, we're not doing business in this area anymore. We're going to put 15,000 people out of jobs. Like, if these policies don't change immediately,
Yeah.
like all it takes is something like that.
Yeah.
We're in the same group. We love, like, I'm a big gun guy. I love training. I think it's really fun.
Yeah.
I have a hard time seeing how I'm ever going to use it besides, like, maybe a home invasion or like the wrong group of protesters are on my street or whatever. I have a hard time being like, oh, it's to fight the government. Well, yes, that is the core belief of why the Second Amendment exists. It's to be able to have the people have the same influence. I don't see how logistically we ever get to that point, or
How it degrades to that point.
how it degrades to that point where, yeah, I would have to fight the United States standing military.
I think it's a very unlikely. Yes, when I think about the possibilities of times, yeah, I think that's very unlikely to be fighting the uniformed military of the United States is very, very unlikely. I see it as a much higher, like you were talking about, much higher likelihood of to just give a simple label like inter-militia fighting, like small groups of armed people in a state that are fighting each other.
People getting sick of Antifa?
Yeah, for one reason or another, than for there to be a legitimate civil war of states rebelling against the federal government to separate themselves, like that being an armed conflict. That I find a very.
I guess when you say
difficult-
states as a whole, I could see something like
you
that
think if
happening.
there was more, because even that I've like
Just between Florida and Texas, really.
when even that
yeah.
I find
Or Alaska.
I find the likelihood of a limited fighting civil divorce more likely than a civil war.
Which still might be called a civil
Have
war
you
in
ever
the
heard that
future.
term before, civil divorce?
Yeah, or in other words,
national divorce?
balkanization.
Yes.
Yeah, and I find that more likely and easier to conceive of than an armed civil war to separate states from the federal government.
Well,
for
even
the
regions
same-
between their own state, like what
Eastern Western Washington.
Oregon, or
yeah.
Washington, but Oregon's already got the ballot measures
Yep.
and the what do they call those ballot measures that are not official by the government.
Right.
Referendum or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
something like that. Whatever. When they're at the top of it, it's like, hey, these are doesn't matter.
Because
About going to Idaho.
I saw that fucking vote, for Greater Idaho or expanding into Idaho. It was not by like a small margin either. A lot of those people a lot of those counties were looking to be like,
Really?
we want to go
Oh,
over
it was
there.
like 90% of people were like, we want to
Crazy.
leave because the Bend or the Eugene and Portland, the people who aren't working out in the farms, and now your tractor has to have this filter and this computer system in it. Well, it's like, that's the state's land, so the people in the city feel like it's justified that my land out there, that's our land out there too. It's like, no, it's the ones who's working it land, the ones who live their land. They're just allowing you the resources and selling it to you for their business.
And their shit's almost a little bit unique with how closely their agriculture butts up to their metropolitan areas. Like Eugene and Junction City are right next to each other, and Junction City is all farms. It is all fields, all everything. And Eugene is a large Bremerton.
Oregon's
it's
weird.
Bremerton times 2.
It's where the people live.
Yeah.
It's where the people live. In Oregon, yes. So they're like, their shit is right next to each other. It takes a 5-minute drive to get into fields of wheat and corn and shit that they have in Junction City. And I remember the last time that I was in Eugene, how bad the homeless problem was there, and asking my aunt about it, and she was saying it was because of those other farming towns will pass ordinances that it's illegal to sleep on the streets. So all those people get pushed here because we won't do that here. Eugene won't pass a law that you can't sleep on the street, but all the other more conservative rural areas around are like, you can't fucking do that here.
Oh, interesting.
So the
I
problem,
haven't heard that.
So the problem in Eugene is centralized because they all just went to Eugene.
Yeah.
So in Eugene, it's almost as bad as it is in Portland. And I was in Portland.
Oh, I watched Portland degrade very quickly from when I moved out here.
I was in
rough
Portland
business.
4 months ago, and I was shocked at how bad it was.
Yeah.
I was talking to Shane about it. I said it was literally, and I'm not even being
Facetious.
It was literally like fucking Gotham City. The way that it looked.
Yeah.
The city is dark. The buildings are dark. There is graffiti everywhere.
It's a post-apocalyptic film.
It's not in the cool. It's not in like the cool artsy way that Portland used to be. There is
Keep it weird.
drug-fueled graffiti everywhere. Anywhere that is large enough to have a tent had a tent. There were encampments that had dry storage. They had multiple cabinets like you have in your garage, plastic cabinets, just filled with shit, with yard tools to clean up the area that they were living in. Which, I mean, I guess good on them that they don't want it to look like garbage, but also you have fucking dry storage in a random cement pad somewhere in the middle of fucking Portland.
Oh yeah.
Just 20 people with tents set up there. Anywhere with enough
Why
room
are
on the
businesses
side of the
closing?
highway. Just a tent with dry storage. Literally, the first one I saw was on the side of the highway, a tent with a cabinet outside of it.
That's
Yes.
wild. That's so fucking wild.
And they're fine with
Yeah.
it. You know, I drove past the federal court building that was sieged for 100 whatever days. It's like nothing ever happened. Just rainbow painted on the ground outside of it. Everything is perfect.
We
cool.
love appeasing people.
Yeah, like they didn't throw fucking mortars at it for 90 days plus and try and literally tear the fucking building down. Like nothing ever happened.
like there wasn't an armed insurrection at the
It
federal
was
building
like
there, huh?
fucking Gotham City. People just, I mean, just the drug fucking walk. I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, and you see that because Seattle's terrible with it now.
Oh yeah. You're walking up the ferry just out of the bottom, just the fucking.
Oh, dude. It's
I do it. I do
rough,
it every
man.
other Friday. I go
That's
to the ferry
horrible.
down there, dude. It's gross.
It's no. Oh, I wanted to show you
I lived in
guys
Everett
this
for a
at
little
some
while.
point.
Saw a video, Mr. Guns and Gear, of a woman on the side of the freeway outside of San Francisco, a naked lady walking around with a gat, shooting at cars.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
walking
the
on
one,
freeway.
yeah.
Holy
Yep.
shit.
Yeah,
Just
that
a
was
naked
wild,
ass
dude.
woman walking down the street shooting at random cars.
Yeah.
I'm glad it hasn't really too badly spilled over into our little area on this side of the bridge.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
homeless problem compared to when I was a kid is crazy.
It's
When
a
I
lot
was
worse, but it's not.
No,
We're not there yet. We're not Gotham yet.
Compared to when I was a kid, it's just in Bremerton because I've lived in Bremerton my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Compared to what I was when I was a kid is crazy. It was there was never. That just didn't exist here. It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
There were very, very few homeless people.
Yeah. Every now and again you saw something, but not like
the
not like
drug
now.
thing has always been big here. Like I know my dad, he got kicked out of the Navy for being on drugs and then left here because he couldn't get out of being on drugs in this town.
Oh, yeah.
And
Big drug town.
Yeah, that's super common, and that's only gotten worse. The human trafficking here is super bad. In
Really?
Kitsap
Oh, yeah.
County. Oh, it's super fucking bad in Kitsap
Kidnap County.
Yeah.
Really, really bad.
Yeah, it's real bad.
But who's perpetuating that?
A lot of it takes. I know there's a. I mean, I'm sure it's everywhere, but a lot of it takes place on tribal lands. They have a huge.
Oh, you think they're with some
trafficking.
of the MS-13 type?
I mean, it could be any number of things.
It
I mean,
also
any of those
comes-
kind of like. Any of those types of groups that get involved in trafficking, they look for places that are. What's the right word to use? Downtrodden or kind of left behind or have a lack of law enforcement and stuff like that, or drug problems, alcohol problems, and stuff like that. And there's pockets around the tribal lands around here where that's very prevalent, and you could kidnap people very, very easily, and nobody will know what happened. So I think it's more of a right time, right place type of
Okay.
thing.
And I know specifically in Kitsap County, we like the massage parlor thing is really big here. Within the last 3 years, there was a big breakup of like 3 or 4 massage parlors that were all filled with Asian immigrants that had been stolen and then taken here.
Yeah.
So the port's
Wow.
a huge deal. Like that's a huge thing because there are tons of Asian and Pacific Islander communities here. That they're just big, and so if you get
You wouldn't think anything of it,
if
huh?
you get one person who's a bad actor, you can easily funnel people through your community because they look like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's really bad here too. Is that type of thing that the massage parlors.
It's surprising.
Because it was Kitsap County sheriffs that did that particular breakup, and so that was like in Bremerton and Belfair and shit.
And Paulsbo.
I remember reading about it, about a lot of, they got, obviously they got a ton of Navy guys
Yes.
wrapped up in it.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
shit's really
That
bad
happens.
here. Yeah.
Navy cats will do what Navy cats do.
I
Nobody's
guess-
going to ask questions. But.
And I guess the sex trade in general has always been big here. Like prostitution used to be enormous. That's always
Anywhere you have a bunch of sailors.
yeah. That's always been big here. But
Yeah,
the
like
human
I don't know,
dating-
world history kind of shows that
Yeah.
to be a
yeah,
thing.
and
It's
like
just
the,
always been a
Men
deal.
who live at sea want to get a little on there.
There's
way
a
back.
particular hotel that's just down the road from my house that's called the Chieftain. It's actually called like the Bremerton Inn now. It used to be called the Chieftain.
Okay, familiar. Delivered there a few times.
Yeah, so that was like
Food.
that's the spot. That is the spot if you were gonna go there to find if you want a prostitute, you go to the Chieftain Motel.
What's the
And
address?
and I don't know if they've
been hard.
changed since they changed ownership, but I know that at one time was the spot.
Yeah.
And so as that kind of changed, the human trafficking aspect became bigger.
Have you ever been to Aurora Avenue?
In Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it just outlandish how open it is?
It's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
bad.
It's an open air prostitute
It's
market.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything like that
Yeah.
anywhere in the world.
No, it's pretty wild. To speak to the homeless issue, right? Because we talked about this last episode. Right before
yes.
Taylor Swift came into town, magically, nobody knows how they got
and
there.
the All-Star games.
And the
And
All-Star
All-Star
games.
yeah. It was because that whole week was All-Star and then Tay Swifty.
It was big.
Who they say made enough noise and like they made enough seismic activity during the Taylor Swift concert to imitate a 2.3
A small
earthquake. 2.3 on the Richter
The
scale
Swifties
earthquake.
did, or the homeless who were
The
fighting back?
Swifties, but
The shaking on the gates of
yeah,
the stadium.
as-
No,
as
it's the
part of that
Swifties.
build-up to all this, there was a bunch of eco blocks that got placed in places where like homeless RV camps were and that, and nobody really knows how they
right
got
outside
there.
of the venues and the stadiums.
And the city's going, we don't have enough resources to allocate to remove them, so they're just going to stay there. Well, the mysterious eco block fairy has struck again.
Is that why tickets are so expensive? Because with each ticket purchase, they have to purchase an eco block.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
And not only are they saying they're not going to move them, like also we don't know who did it.
Yes.
We don't know how they got
So
there.
basically, to solve homeless, we need more T Swift concerts.
Yeah, that's
Or
it.
All-Star games.
Yeah.
Because I'm not convinced the MLB
Bring the
didn't
Super
pay
Bowl
for
to
'em.
Seattle.
Oh, I believe it.
Because I didn't think about that last time. I was like, the MLB might have just paid for it. Because they know this is going to happen, so
Yeah.
let's just pay some dudes to fucking go handle some
there-
shit.
Told the city.
What's
then
the
not
opinion
told
on
the city,
what's the
or-
opinion
yeah.
on that? How do
People
you
are
guys-
very upset. Oh, you mean from us?
from you guys.
Oh, I don't
Oh,
know shit.
I
I know
shit.
people are upset.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I don't
with
give
me.
a fuck.
I don't-
Put them up everywhere.
Whatever you
I don't
gotta
give a
do, bro.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care. You shouldn't be. I don't
Clean your shit
I-
up. Get your life together.
I have all sympathy in the world for people that are on hard times and are living on the streets. I don't that doesn't make it other people's problems, whether it is a private citizen or a private business, to deal with your fucking shit. And it doesn't allow
They
you.
don't want to get fixed.
It also doesn't give you the right to fuck up somebody else's business or fuck up somebody else's property because you're on a hard time in your life. I get it. I totally understand. You can't stay on my fucking driveway or on the edge of my road because you don't have anywhere else to go.
You can't infringe on my rights just because you're having a hard time or something like that.
Just like if
that's
I owned...
not the way it goes. You don't get to infringe on my rights because of your situation.
Just like
I get
if
it. I feel for you, but that's not how any of this works.
If I owned T-Mobile Park, I would also be like, I charge $50 a spot for that parking lot. You cannot have any RVs in here, even though we aren't doing anything today, because I charge $50 a spot on game day for that fucking
And this is
parking
my
lot.
property.
It might be shitty. It's my property. You can't fucking live here because you don't have a house.
Did you see that? You know the parking lot right across from Cheney Stadium? I've seen it right on 16.
Okay.
So there's that parking lot right across 16. Cheney Stadium's on one side where the Rainiers play, and there's the parking lot. Well, since baseball season ended, it was full of RVs, tents, stolen, dilapidated cars, and then when spring came around, and it was baseball season again, they were all gone.
I was hanging out in Bellevue.
Every single one of them was gone, and it was back to selling parking spots for the baseball games.
Interesting.
And it's like we could solve some of these issues. We just choose not to.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
I mean, the COVID is the best example of that. When they bought or
There's a
rented,
high school back there too.
when they told
Oh yeah,
everyone-
the high school's on the same property as Cheney Stadium. So right across the street, there's that new.
Over here,
Where is it?
The
at? You
Lowe's.
can see it. No, go down a little bit south.
Home Depot.
There it is. See the park and ride?
Mm.
That one right there.
Yep. And I mean, you think about that. That is probably a 5-minute walk to the high school. So now you have a whole nother set of if you got a gang of homeless people that are hanging out there. Now they're right next door to the fucking high school.
Real easy for a little teenage girl to walk by, and now she's somewhere in Eastern Europe getting.
Or a fucking tweaker to roll down there and start fucking with people at the high school. I mean, that's a bad situation waiting to happen.
Do we agree it's drugs is the core problem?
Yes,
I think that's probably the biggest.
I think various modes of addiction is a huge issue.
Or addiction, rather, not drugs, but addiction in general.
Of all aspects is an enormous issue. But what I was saying about COVID, right? One of the best examples is, no, you're totally fine, is COVID, right? When they told everyone you have to stay in your house, you can't stay in a hotel, right? The government of many states and also the federal government bought up old rundown hotels and rented hotel rooms and took...
Can't stay in a hotel.
Yeah, you got to stay home. They don't want people traveling. So they
so not people who are downtrodden staying in a hotel. No travelers
during
in the
COVID.
hotel.
Yeah, during COVID, when they closed down hotels, when they said you can't travel, we want you to stay home, so they closed down hotels. Right. There was also a bunch of run-down hotels or hotels that had just closed that state governments of many different states purchased. And they also rented out hotel rooms, and they took all these homeless people off the streets, and they housed them in the hotels.
But that worked out fantastic for the hotel owners.
For extended periods of time. And then as soon as they said COVID was over, you got to get the fuck out. And they pushed everybody back on the streets. So all the people that they housed for however long, they then remade homeless as soon as they didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. And I guarantee
and then started to talk about how it was a huge problem. There's all these people on the streets.
Yeah. And I guarantee you the state did not offer any kind of funds to the hotels to completely renovate after the place was destroyed.
Meth smell out of the walls.
No, because there's also a place in Bremerton across from a house that I really, really, really wanted to purchase that was right in my price range that would have been just perfect for my family.
Yeah.
There's a place right across the street that's called Pendleton Place, and it is a state-built facility that is a long-term living facility for the homeless and drug addicted, right? So it is a place that you can go to get you off the streets, but also because of this, they allow drug use there. That's totally fine.
That's a big problem.
So they've had multiple overdoses in the 2 years that it's been open.
Yeah.
If I'm all for providing shelter to the homeless
100%.
and food to the homeless. That's a great use of our tax
If
dollars.
you're stealing the money anyway, do something good with it.
Yes. But
Do
not
something
if it's
good and
going to
productive.
perpetuate the addiction.
No, and I also couldn't move. I couldn't purchase this house because I can't have 2 children 3 blocks from a place where people are openly using fucking drugs and doing whatever they want.
I mean, like 3 blocks is pretty conservative.
I
mean, it was right next.
I mean,
it was
you're-
across the street.
I could have unquestionably hit it with a rock.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could hit it with a rock.
Unquestionably.
Well, he throws 3 blocks. He's got a
It's-
fucking arm like a rocket.
Well, okay, it's 3 blocks what's
Okay,
far
but
because I could,
I'll show you
I
it
could
on the map
stand
here.
in
Could you make a hit with the 10 mil pretty easily?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's close enough.
I could
Too
stand
close.
in the driveway and bend down and see the smoking area for Pendleton Place. And there was just a chain link gate that you could open to just get right out of the
Yeah, because this was the house, right?
right at
sitting
the
right
end of
there.
the street. It was this house
And
then-
that's
and
it?
there
Oh
it
my
is.
god,
Pendleton
dude.
Place.
That's your backyard.
Yeah.
That ain't no 3 blocks,
And
brother.
That's
When I
no,
was-
that's
That's across the
I
street.
was standing here checking out the house, and there was a guy that walked by who lives on the street, and I was like, "What's up with Pendleton Place? You know, like, what do you think about this? Do you live here?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've lived here for
is that
like
a dirt
2
bike
years."
track on that property? On Pendleton?
Yeah, we go back.
Over here.
It's probably just
Is
I
that
think
where
it's
the
from the
meth guys run
construction. I
around?
think it's just from the construction. I think there's
Yeah, it could
something
be.
down there now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I think this. I think this
almost looked
picture
like
is
a
just
little,
old.
little off-road park.
Yeah, no, it's not that. I think it's
Okay.
like a garden or something now. I think that was just the
Yeah.
pathway for the vehicles at the time.
yeah for construction. Yeah, now it's just nothing.
Yeah.
They don't even have the Pendleton Place on the street view.
Right.
It hadn't even been
Because that's
developed
it's
yet.
right there.
Yeah.
So
That's the house?
this is
No.
Pendleton Place, but where the house is
Okay.
was right here.
Yeah.
But that house isn't there anymore.
Yeah, you could tell that
So
concrete's all brand
this
new,
is-
baby.
That's the
Yep,
smoking
yep.
area that I was talking about. And you
I can't believe they are housing people and allowing them to continue use.
Right on,
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's right
That's
across from this
disgusting.
enormous cemetery that people go to all the time, Kitsap Way, which is a main highway through town.
So where are they getting these drugs? They're going out in the day and
Oh, you
going
can
and
go
buying
wherever you
them?
want. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
free. You can leave. I think you have to be in at a certain time at night.
Oh.
But during the day, you go and do whatever you
So
want.
it's because I remember when my cousin was in a Hope House, he was in jail. Actually, it was his wedding yesterday. My parents were at his wedding.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Very
good
cool.
for him. Yeah, but
There you go. That's
he was
Pendleton
not allowed
Place.
to move. And
Oh no,
That's the hotel-looking motherfucking thing I drive by.
Oh,
I
that's
didn't
a drug den.
realize.
That explains a
Pendleton
lot of why
Place.
that area has changed.
Yes.
that's Pendleton Place.
That's wild.
I know exactly. Right off Grand National Boulevard.
So I was going to. Yep, I was. That's the smoking area that I was talking about.
Holy shit!
So I could bend over and see that. And I asked the guy, I was like, "What's up? You know, with Pendleton Place?" I was like, "Is there like?" He's like, "I haven't had any issues." You know, he was like, "They fucking come in the parking lot that's right here. That's literally behind the house that I was going to purchase." He's like, "Oh, they hang out in this parking lot. You know, they smoke their weed, they do whatever." He's like, "But I haven't had any issues."
Smoke their weed. Yeah, I'm sure it's the.
Yeah, I bet I'm
the
sure
weed
they're
that's
just
the
fucking
issue I'm worried
smoking
about.
weed.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So
That's rough
I
business.
obviously couldn't fucking buy that house.
Nope.
And
Well, great spot from what I saw.
Oh, dude, with the house.
The house itself.
The
is
house
nice.
was-
No, I meant your place now, not
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah, I did. I did end
Yeah.
up getting a good house. This house was incredible, and it would have been fantastic. There was like already a studio area set up downstairs, and like a huge. It was great. It doesn't matter. The house that I have, I'm very happy with. It was fantastic. This
Yeah,
was
you're in a
very
good
cool
spot.
house.
You got all the Navy boys around there,
Yeah.
dude. You're in a good
Yeah.
spot now.
It's Vapa's safer than this place is. So,
Fucking A, it is.
But someone bought it.
Bunch of
People
salty
bought it.
sailors
Moved in
living
there.
right across the street,
Yeah.
drinking their beers every night down at the Fleet.
That's always just a fun time because eventually, like summertime,
So is
a lot of
cars
times they'll
out
have like garage parties, be hanging out in driveway.
oh,
You just
yeah,
walk
dude.
up with some beers. Hey, what's up, boys?
I was telling him I'm gonna try to move into that area here soon. Really been looking at
a
prices
nice
are
spot.
coming down, but interest rates are going up. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna.
Then that's what you asked me about refinancing. I've just been waiting for the rates to come down.
yeah. So
enough
I was
for it to
thinking you
be
did
like,
it. I didn't
yeah.
know you just bought the
Nah,
house in November.
November, yeah.
Yeah.
I got fucked, but yeah, we outgrew. We were living in a basement apartment in Keyport, so we just outgrew the.
Yeah, and Keyport's
that
far.
space.
Well, you're in Silverdale, so it's not
Yeah, it
bad.
was an 8-minute drive to work, so that was really nice. And it's only like it's 20 minutes now if I hit traffic. You know, in the morning it's 12 minutes on the freeway. It's
Yeah,
fucking
because
nothing,
you're up
so-
by that smoky barbecue place over there in Silverdale. huh?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's our spot, bro.
yeah.
Oh, right. I don't know why I completely forgot that you work for Barrick.
Bennick.
Bennick.
He works
Yeah.
right across from me. We stand at the same
Yeah,
table actually.
we
Oh, so
probably
like
about-
this. So this is a common.
We both have tables
here.
that are 4.5 feet wide.
Yeah.
And so we're 9 feet apart. But that's
Yeah.
it.
Oh wow! So you spend a lot of your
it's
life
tough business.
doing this.
Yeah.
Staring at his fucking ugly
Weird.
mug all
You guys
day.
just need to do a podcast from the work table one
we
day.
don't. We talk way less at work. And
Yeah.
I think because we do this so often, you know.
Yeah.
So like
You don't want to waste the good material.
we
It's
just
tough
all-
sometimes.
we're
We
also
got to
all-
save this for the show. Let's
Yeah.
just write
I
that
that
down.
there's all.
Yeah.
Just talking on the way here, we were like, all right.
Oh yeah,
we'll
yep.
wait, yeah.
Save it, pocket it.
Yeah, we'll watch shit all day at work, you know. So we'll be like, "Hey, have you already watched this?" And be like, "No, all right. Well, let me know when you get
Let-
this.
let me
Yeah.
react
Let me
live.
finish when you're
Yeah.
done with
Yeah,
this, and then
yeah.
like I want to talk about it."
Yeah,
And so,
we're like,
we'll-
yeah, this is the show topic. Let's
Yeah.
fuck with this.
They will do that, and then we'll talk about it for a few minutes. Okay, we gotta stop.
I'm definitely stealing your swag. I'm starting a podcast.
Do it.
Yeah, you're good.
My
the time for
I
it.
encourage everybody.
my buddy is a reliability engineer, so basically he works with a company that makes
reliability
Tacoma
engineer.
smell like shit. So
Oh.
make sure machines are running properly. He works for a West Rock paper mill, and I've been a mechanic my whole
Paper
life.
mill's horrible.
Paper mill's tough business, bro. Back when the Port Angeles one was firing off all the time. Woo! We go there on a bad day.
PAPC,
Port Orchard Paper Company?
No,
Or,
no, no.
God damn, Port Angeles Paper Company. Is that-
TPC, I'm thinking of Port Townsend Paper Company,
There you
rather
go.
than Port Townsend. He used to deliver wood chips to there, the wood chips to the one in. But yeah, he does that, and I'm like, dude, let's start a podcast. So, good way for us to hang out and then
Fuck yeah.
talk about work
Oh, yeah.
a little bit. And
Well, hell, that's how we basically started this. I had just left the job, and we had just started, getting into conversations and stuff like that. And so I left, and then we started texting each other a lot. Like, we should fucking just do this on mic.
yeah,
And then bing, bang, boom. There we are fucking 5 years ago, having a
Crazy.
conversation, yelling at each other because you didn't like guns and I liked guns. I didn't even have that many
Donovan.
guns
I
back
know.
then.
I'm glad you're a convert.
I know.
But now that I
Yep.
know this,
Yep. He discovered what liberty and
you wearing a
freedom
wire?
really was.
Are we being recorded right now?
Yeah, right?
It's like we're not talking into 3 different
Bro,
microphones.
if
Yeah,
he
I
is,
mean-
I'm going to jail way before you motherfuckers.
Well, I told you, like, I bought, that first gun I bought, my Dax was less than a year old, so it was in 2020 or 2019 that I bought it. I bought the Glock 20, and so it's been just a quick fucking tumbling from
yeah.
there.
Well, once you have the ideas, you have 1 or 2 experiences in your life that really cement something, that bring something home. You go, no, I understand now why this is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you build off of that, and then you realize, oh, it's more important for so many things too. And then that just snowballs, and next thing you know, you're a fucking anvil man. That's how that goes.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just don't.
It takes more than that to be an able
I
man.
love how we have a name to the group.
Me too.
Oh, dude, when I first heard it, I was like, that's the coolest
It is
fucking
an
name
awesome name.
ever,
It's
dude.
Great, dude.
Bro.
I think Riley just called us Amble Men in a different chat once, and then the Signal page just got turned into Amble
Yeah,
Men.
that's what it was called on Instagram, so that's just what I called it on Signal. I was like, this
Bro.
All right, because
yeah.
you started the Signal. Yeah.
So we need to wrap up this segment. So we only got to like 1 topic request, I think, but so we'll try to hammer through some after the next break. But I do want to end on this little tidbit, right?
Yes.
I've recently discovered like one of the main things about Signal that I really, really love. It's the group chat function, how the group chats work, because you can add people or remove people at any point in time. I know iPhones, you can do that. If everybody's got a fucking iPhone, you can add and
but
remove
only
people.
if everyone has an iPhone.
Exactly. If you're a fucking pleb like me and have an Android and you start a group text, if you want to remove somebody from that group text because they're just not into it anymore, you got to start a brand
whole
new
new
fucking
one.
one. It is the worst fucking thing in the world. And I wish I could get all the goddamn fucking soccer friends to get on Signal so we could just do this shit, keep it simple, keep it light. Whenever somebody's like, I'm out this session or whatever, pull me out of that group chat. I don't want my phone blowing up after every fucking game for 5 hours because everybody's having beers afterwards and gets home and you start texting and fucking with each other. I wish you could just do that and then tap back in when you want to. So I got to start working on the soccer people to get into the Signal
I've
business.
got some questions about Signal. If maybe we want to talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit.
for sure.
Next segment.
Yeah.
We'll open up with some Signal talk.
Yeah, with that, we'll be back in just a few minutes. Salt of the Streets, Part 3, Episode 153.
Yeah.
I'm at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram, and Colin is at Big Bird Offie on both those things. You can find all this at saltofthestreets.com, including our Patreon, patreon.com/saltofthestreets.
Boom.
Help us make more better content like this. We have an article, newsletter coming out at the end of the month.
Indeed. What are you
And,
writing on?
So I started writing about memorials, right? Because I had a really tough time figuring out what I was going to write about, so it might be a few days late. But I heard on the radio last week that they're going to make an Emmett Till memorial.
Emmett Till.
Emmett Till.
Why do I know this name?
Emmett Till was a young black boy that was killed in the 1950s, supposedly for whistling at a white girl.
Oh,
and he
yes,
was, like,
yes,
lynched
yes.
and like brutalized, right?
Yes.
And then that woman, I think in just 2020, came out and was like, "I lied, like I was lying the whole
Yeah, I
time,"
remember
right? And then she died, I think, like right after that or some shit. And so
Not taking that secret to the grave.
so they're making like a huge memorial that I think spans supposedly like the length of the event of what happened, you know, because it goes
okay.
across state lines to 2 different states, wherever it is. I was reading an
Oh, that's
article
kinda
about it. It is kind of cool, right? So my immediate reaction to it was like not good. I was like, why are we making a memorial to that? Like that's so fucking sad. Why would we want to make a fucking memorial to that? And so then I didn't like the way that I reacted to it, so I just took a step back and thought more about that situation and then about memorials in general and monuments and stuff like that. And so,
nice.
yeah, it's kind of diving into that thought process.
I like that
Huge
idea for
fan.
a memorial, though. Like,
Yeah.
instead of like George Floyd, for example. Like,
as I sit now,
Hey, he'll
it's-
get
he
struck by
lost his
lightning.
life for a silly
Yes.
reason.
Yes, as I sit now, it's not a bad idea. My first reaction was not good, you know, because it
the
opened.
fuck?
Yeah, it opened.
Yeah,
to-
1950s, like 70 years
It's
ago.
like, why are we
Yeah,
doing this? You know, but it opened to me thinking like some more about more monuments in general, and specifically like war memorials.
Well, and you can talk about all
like
the memorials that are
Holocaust
being torn
memorial,
down
like-
now too.
So yeah, there's a decent,
this is now just growing.
It did. It opened into memorials in general, and like, well, most of the ones that we have, especially the big ones in America, are for sad shit. It's not for happy stuff. The big memorials that we have are for the big. I think one of the biggest ones is probably the Ground Zero, right? That's
Yes.
one of the
Oh,
biggest ones,
I mean,
right? And
beautiful memorial,
right?
yeah.
I got to-
Totally should
Yeah.
be. It's not a wrong thing,
Yeah.
but it's one of the biggest ones, right? We also
Yeah.
have ones for all of the different wars we've been into, right? The Korea War Memorial, the one in Vietnam is fucking enormous. The World War II Memorial, right?
Yep.
Some of the other biggest ones are for like founding fathers, right? So most of the shit that we're remembering, that we're making huge pieces to of infrastructure, are for sad things.
Yep.
They're not for happy things, because we remember that. You tell your fucking family about that. You don't have to tell them about the happy things. You have to tell them about this horrible shit that we did. So it's like, so I was wrong. This is a good idea. Like, this is a good thing. This is a good thing to
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it led into even deeper, specifically of like the Civil War monuments and stuff like that, you know, because that argument of just drives down the same lane of like this Emmett Till Memorial is not just to remember something sad, but of extremely important time in America that people have a very difficult time discussing. That's the same fucking argument that we made for the Civil War monuments that were being torn down. We're like, well, this is a very important part of history that is very sad, but it's important that we will look back at the bad shit that we did and remember that we're looking forward. That's the same fucking thing that I just said about Emmett Till. These are the same fucking thing, you know? So
I like it. I'm excited. I'm excited to read about that.
so there's my whole article, you know, just in a little
Well,
spiel.
you know, but you're so much more eloquent on the
Yeah,
page.
the
good
writing
sir.
will be better
I mean,
for
you're an
sure.
eloquent speaker, but I mean, there's a lot less shits and fucks and whatevers.
Almost none in the writing.
Exactly.
Almost none. Yeah, I don't. They're not completely absent, but almost none.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I will be writing about
Yeah, what do you got?
this concept I've been kind of building on lately about the an intellectual revolution, the need for it, what it is, that kind of good stuff. Lot of just flushing out of ideas. So, you know, I was really hoping to get a lot of work done when I was on my back for 4 days, but it wasn't conducive to writing.
Yeah.
So we're working on that, but we'll see how quick we can get that up on the old website there and over on the Patreon. I've been watching way too much Are You Garbage. I keep slipping into like this stupid Philly accent. My bad. But yeah, it's going to be fun because there's the whole hearts and minds thing we've talked a lot about when it comes to things like Afghanistan and the Middle East and wars like that. But I think to implement the changes that need to be made in this country to remain whole and to become a cohesive unit again, I think an intellectual revolution is desperately needed. And what that really means, we talked about a little bit before in last episode, is you really need to do things like this show or the show you're looking at starting. You need to get in people's heads and start converting people and getting them to understand what it truly means to live live and embody the ideas of the founders when it came to starting this country, because we got a lot of good writings. We got a lot of good basic sets of rules, but without the implementation of responsibilities and the true understandings of why we're doing these things or why these rules were put down on paper to begin with, you lose everything. And that's how we end up to having a bloated fucking federal government and, you know, state. I mean, every aspect of government is so bloated. Society is so willing to just bend down and do whatever the government says because we've lost the understanding of what it means to be like an actually true American. You know, think Wild West type stuff, and it's so easily forgotten, and it's not like it's brand new. It's been around since like the days of like the Old West and stuff like that. All that was a ticking clock that was just waiting for civilization, quote unquote, to catch up to it.
Right.
And then boom, all of a sudden freedoms are out the window, and we start
we're
creating
comfortable
regulations. Yep. And so that's, I think we really need an
Got gravel roads
intellectual.
now.
Amen, baby. Moving on up in the world. Well, I mean, there's a reason, even back in the day, why roads became the size that they were. Because you needed the right amount of width to get wagons down things.
Right.
Those haven't changed. The
Gotta fit a
sizings are
carriage
still the
both
fucking
ways,
things,
yeah.
right? And that's the nature of government. That was the nature of all this stuff, and we've lost really what it is to have, say, like a community that wants to maintain its own road system. They can do whatever they fucking want with the road system, but we can't allow that because interstate commerce, blah, blah, blah. We need to have standards and practices. And next thing you know, you're just doing whatever the government wants, and you don't even remember why you're doing it. And then you have a few generations of that, and you don't even remember what it's like to actually be an American. You're just doing whatever the government allows you to do. And
You
then
don't remember what the Second Amendment
then we
means.
pass it off as freedom.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many aspects, so I don't really exactly know which tact it'll take, but writing for me is always a thought process, so we'll see how it goes. But that's what we'll be looking forward to on the old Patreon this month. So check out for that in the next few fucking days at this point.
That's right.
And with that, we'll be back here in a few minutes with part 3.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Welcome to the south of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought.